Chapter 1269. Chapter 1269. Immortal Xian Desert Ningong Shuru pinched little Phoenix's cute face and said with gentle smile, "Silly girl, of course I know those people are talking nonsense. They're trying to make me hate Xiao Yun and let go of this matter. Those people are really evil." Little Phoenix said somewhat angrily, "Young Master Qin is such a good person. Why are those people doing this? Don't worry about them. Is Xiao Yun all right?" Nangong Shuru somewhat anxiously asked. Young Master Qin is very awesome. He even gave me a divine fruit." Little Phoenix took out a divine fruit and handed it over to Nangong Shuru. Nangong Shuru can tell with a glance that this divine fruit belongs to the Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain's divine tree. "Little Phoenix, eat these 2 pills and then eat this divine fruit. If you cultivate according to my instructions, you will definitely be able to break through very quickly." Nangong Shuru took out 2 pills and handed them over to Little Phoenix. "Sister Shueru, won't it be a waste for me to eat this divine fruit?" Little Phoenix said with lowered head. "Of course not. Little Phoenix, your aptitude is very good. As long as you work hard, you will become a very powerful immortal in the future," Nangong Shuru said with gentle smile and then hugged Little Phoenix. "Thank you, Sister Shueru, for your guidance. I will surely work hard." Little Phoenix repeatedly nodded. Nangong Shuru brought Little Phoenix to a secret room and told her about the essentials of refining divine fruit. Then she took the devil mirror and left the secret room. Qinyan doesn't have any immortal jade bead, so he can only wander aimlessly on the street. He took out the devil mirror, and just as he was about to contact the black donkey, Little Phoenix sent him a message. "Xiao Yun, it's me, Shueru." Qinyan heard Nangong Shueru's voice and said with smile, "I am fine." Qinyan quickly arrived at a small alleyway and began chatting with Nangong Shueru. He now knows that the person who attacked him and Little Phoenix was not Nangong Shueli or Long Tianren. Rather, it was one of Nangong Shuemei's subordinates. Qinyan is very surprised to learn that Nangong Shueru slapped Nangong Shueli and Nangong Shuemei. The Nangong Shuru he is familiar with has never been this fiery. He guessed that she must have learned her bad temper from someone, for example, the Ice Mother Tigress Xian Rujing. "Shuru, help me contact Xian Rujing. Tell her I am looking for her," Qinyan said. "A disciple from the vast glacial palace will come looking for me soon. I will ask them to inform Rujing when the time comes." Nangong Shuru asked, "Xiao Yun, how is your relationship with Rujing?" She's very fierce. When you meet, I must be there." "Don't worry. I can't be more familiar with her," Qinyan said with smile, "but he is so familiar with her that he has been bitten several times." "Ah, Rujing is actually very familiar with you." Nangong Shueru was surprised. Qinyan shook his head with a smile and asked, "Do you know which disciple the Moon Palace will send?" "I don't know who they will send, but they have something important to do. I only know that they want to enter Immortal Xian Desert." Nangong Shuru sighed and said, "Immortal Xian Desert is very dangerous. I am very worried." Qin Yin knows a lot about Immortal Xian Desert. It is one of the 10 great holy lands of Xian Province and also the only upper immortal level holy land. The other 9 holy lands are all Xian immortal level holy lands. Many powerful Xian immortals live near them. Immortal Xian Desert is the only holy land for upper immortals, and there are many ascendant immortals there. Therefore, many ascendant immortals are preparing to enter Immortal Xian Desert to explore the legendary Divine Spring. Many people know that Immortal Xian Desert is very dangerous, but they still dare to take the risk. After all, it is one of the 10 great holy lands of Xian Province. There is not only Divine Spring inside, there are also many other things. Nangong Shuru said again, "Xiao Yun, I also wanted to explore Immortal Xian Desert, but my parents didn't let me. Even the elders of my clan don't want me to go. Immortal Xian Desert is very dangerous. It is normal that they don't want you to go." Qinyan said with smile, "Shueru, when Guanghan Palace's disciples arrive, inform me." "All right, let's arrange a time to meet. I will give you some pills," Nangong Shueru said. Qinyan originally wanted to meet during the day, but Nangong Shueru wants to meet tonight. Qin Yun arrived at Nangong family's gate and saw Nangong Shuaru's carriage coming out. He quietly followed it, and after he left, he used mysterious penetration divine ability and entered the carriage. Only Nangong Shuaru knew that Qin Yun entered the carriage. The people following him did not see him enter the carriage. Xiao Yun, you are really awesome. No wonder you could escape from 2 immortal talisman tools. Nangong Shuaru handed over 3 small jade bottles to Qin Yun and said with smile, "There are words on these bottles. They introduce the usage of these immortal pills." "Shuaru, thank you very much," Qin Yun very gratefully said. His heart is filled with warmth. Although Nangong Shuaru doesn't remember him, she is still very good to him. It can be seen how much she cares for Qin Yun in the depths of her soul. "I also don't know why, but I feel like I owe you. Moreover, I'm very happy to see you," Nangong Shuaru said with gentle smile. "Maybe wait until you cultivate saint-level soul. Then you will remember about me." Qin Yun put away the 3 small jade bottles and said, "So strange. Why did I lose such important memories?" Nangong Shuaru has been wondering about this for many days. Soon after, Qin Yun told Nangong Shuaru about the evolution of runes. He taught Nangong Shuaru how to evolve runes before. Nangong Shuaru is very excited about the evolution of runes with Qin Yun. She is very amazed. She now knows that the inscription techniques she mastered were all taught to her by Qin Yun, including the evolution of runes. Qin Yun discovered a very strange matter. After Nangong Shuaru lost her memories about him, her comprehension of runes has become even more thorough. Nangong Shuaru chatted with Qin Yun until late at night. She even gave Qin Yun several immortal runes. Although they are all low-quality immortal runes, they're still very helpful to Qin Yun. Qin Yun quietly left Nangong Shuaru's carriage. Before leaving, Nangong Shuaru gave him 10,000 immortal jade beads. Nangong Shuaru is only pretending to come out to relax. Qin Yun and Nangong Shuaru know that some people are secretly following them. After leaving the carriage, Qin Yun saw some people following them. He doesn't know if they were sent by Nangong family or Nangong Xiumei. Qin Yun arrived at an inn. Now that he has immortal jade beads, he can finally stay in the inn. He only needs a few dozen immortal jade beads per day. Of course, for half immortals, this is a great amount of immortal jade beads. But for immortals, they can afford it. Xinjiang City is the closest city to immortal Xin Great Desert, so more and more people are arriving here. All of them are rushing over from other cities. All kinds of information shops and middlemen here are very busy, especially the middlemen. Many upper immortals and immortals who are not weak are using these middlemen to find good teammates, so that their journey in immortal Xin Great Desert will be smoother. Qin Yun's inn is also doing information business. Even though it is very late at night, there are many people drinking tea on the first and second floor of the inn. They are exchanging all kinds of useful information. All of this is free. Qin Yun is eating and drinking. He is calmly listening to all kinds of news. And most of the news comes from the magic mirror. There are all kinds of news on the magic mirror. Many of them were rumors or just bragging to catch people's attention. For example, the little black donkey is bragging all day long. The little black donkey is responsible for at least half of the rumors on the magic mirror. All kinds of false rumors are spreading, making it even harder to distinguish truth from falsehood. Qin Yun is only listening. He does not take it seriously. He wants to enter the immortal Xin Great Desert to find divine fruits or treasures that can help immortals break through quickly. He is sure that every Sun Divine Stone will give birth to such things. Most of the people gathered here are immortals, and upper immortals are richer. They will stay in high-class hotels or inns. Now, all the major powers are recruiting upper immortals to explore the immortal Xin Great Desert. In addition, some rich people will privately recruit upper immortals. For example, those disciples of famous sects do not want to be with the rest of the family, so they go alone. Qin Yun wants to find a good team to join, but he found that good teams do not want immortals. If he joined a team of immortals, Qin Yun feels that it would be better to go alone. With a team of upper immortals, It will be much safer inside the immortal Xian Great Desert. Qin Yun ate and drank for a whole night, but did not obtain any useful information. Instead, he spent several hundred immortal jade beads to buy wine. At daybreak, Nangong Shuru contacted Qin Yun for the magic mirror. Xiao Yun, our Guanghan Palace's disciples have arrived. They want to recruit upper immortals to enter the immortal Xian Great Desert together. Nangong Shuiru said, Shuiru, help me out. Recommend me to enter the immortal Xian Great Desert with them. Qin Yun is very happy in his heart and promptly said. Nangong Shuru hesitated for a while. If it was anyone else, she would have decisively refused. Because the strength of immortals is limited, entering the immortal Xian Great Desert with upper immortals is very dangerous. Qin Yun is only a fifth immortal. Nangong Shuru is very worried that something might happen to him. But thinking about how Qin Yun managed to escape with Little Phoenix under the attack of 2 immortal talisman tools and even obtain divine fruits from the Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain, she feels that Qin Yun has enough strength. Xiao Yun, do you really want to go to the immortal Xian Great Desert? Nangong Shuiru asked. Indeed, I want to find something to quickly break through inside. Qin Yun said with smile, if everything goes smoothly, I will come out of the immortal Xian Great Desert and become an upper immortal. That's right, but it is very dangerous inside. Nangong Shuiru lightly sighed and said, she has obtained a lot of information from Nangong family. Rest assured, nothing will happen to me. Qin Yun said, Xiao Yun, I gave you 3 bottles of immortal pills. One of them was refined with immortal jade paste. If you eat it, you might be able to break through. Nangong Shuru said, I promise you that I will recommend you to join the Guanghan Palace's team and have them take good care of you. Thank you, Qin Yun said with smile. Chapter 1270. Familiar and strange Qin Yun did not know what kind of test it was. All he could do was take a look. Nangong Shuru told him a location and told him to go there for the interview. She will communicate with the people there. Xiao Yun, Shuiru is so good to you. Even though she has lost that part of her memory, she is still very concerned about you. Ling Yun said with some melancholy, I don't know if the other sisters are like this. I don't know. Qin Yun did not wish to think about such matters. Instead, he felt that deep in the souls of his friends and family, they still had a vague feeling for him. It was just that they had temporarily forgotten him. Nangong Shuiru is in such a situation. Although she doesn't remember Qin Yun, she has some impression of him. There were many large manors in the center of the city. Qin Yun arrived at the entrance of one of the manors. There were many people queuing up here. The people in the queue were all waiting for the test. Most of them were 8th and 9th stage immortals. Exalted immortals could go to the test directly without queuing. After passing the test, they had to sign a contract. On the way here, Qin Yun told Nangong Shuru that he doesn't want to sign a contract. He wants to mingle with the group and enter the immortal profound desert. He was not an exalted immortal, so he could only queue up obediently. The people in the queue would eventually enter a large black house for the assessment. The people queuing outside could hear the sounds coming from inside the big house. The test was rather strict, and many 8th and 9th stage immortals failed. Shockingly, some of the ascendant immortals failed to pass the assessment. Rather, they were beaten to the point of limping out. The disciples of Guanghan Palace are really powerful. It's very difficult to pass their assessment. What kind of place is the Moon Palace? That is one of the most famous sects in the immortal desolate. That's right, the Moon Palace controls an immortal emperor-level divine mountain. They must be very experienced in exploring the Sun God Stone. Not only that, they have also sent many outstanding disciples to occupy various divine mountains. We'll definitely be able to broaden our horizons by following the disciples of the Moon Palace. I heard that after signing the contract, even if you get something good, you have to give it to the Moon Palace's disciple, right? Yes. If you're not willing, you don't have to go. The people who lined up here came for the Moon Palace's name. This was because Moon Palace's recruitment fee was very high. 8th and 9th Heaven Immortals could get 200,000 immortal jade beads as a reward. Ascendant Immortals, on the other hand, could get between 500,000 to 1 million ascendant immortals. That was the highest they could get. The other great forces would get far less. Therefore, Moon Palace's assessment was also very strict. After queuing for more than 2 hours, it was finally his turn to register. "My name is Qin Yun." Qin Yun reported his name. The woman in charge of registration is wearing a yellow dress. Her long hair is simply tied up and hanging in front of her chest. She has a mature and beautiful oval face. When she heard Qin Yun's name, she immediately had an impression. Then she nodded. "Go in and take the assessment. I hope you can pass." Nangong Shuuru has already informed the Guanghan Palace's disciples that Qin Yun is only a 5th-layer immortal. Therefore, the yellow-dressed woman did not say much because she felt that it was impossible for Qin Yun to pass the test. After Qin Yun entered the large black house, he saw a very familiar woman. Inside the large house, there's a small-scale battle arena. Inside, there is an ice-cold woman with wheat-colored skin standing. She has shoulder-length short hair. She is very tall, and her wheat-colored skin seems to contain a wild power. She is wearing tight black leather clothes, outlining her fiery and wild body. This woman is very cold. She is filled with killing intent and domineering aura. She is holding a very long saber in her hand. Tian Ruling, big sister. Qin Yun is pleasantly surprised, but he did not open his mouth to shout. He has been separated from Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan for a long time. At that time, they were his big sister and second sister. He suspected that Yu Wulan might have also come. After all, Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan have been together for a long time, and they usually do not separate. The saber in Tian Ruling's hand is as tall as her. The back of the saber is very thick and the blade is very wide. It is a very domineering, large saber. Qin Yun remembers that this is the cold cloud saber that he refined for Tian Ruling. Of course, now that it has been refined again, it is already an immortal tool. "You are Qin Yun? Shui Ru has already greeted me. She said that even though you are only at the 5th level of the immortal realm, you are outstanding. As long as you pass our test, we are willing to bring you along." Tian Ruling looked at Qin Yun and said coldly. Qin Yun sighed inwardly. Tian Ruling had indeed lost her memories of him. Just as he was feeling very disappointed, Tian Ruling suddenly asked, "Have we met before?" "Why do you ask?" Qin Yun asked. "I don't know. In short, I feel that you are a little familiar. Have we met somewhere before?" Tian Ruling looked at Qin Yun and fell into deep thought. She tried very hard to recall, but she could not remember anything. "If I say that we were sworn siblings, would you believe me? You are my big sister, and Yu Wulan is my second sister." Qin Yun said with a wry smile, "If you don't believe me, just treat it as me spouting nonsense. How is this possible? I just feel that you are very familiar, but it is impossible for you to be my sworn brother and sister with Wulan. If I lost my memory, it is impossible for Wulan to lose her memory with me. Why didn't she mention you?" Tian Ruling snorted and said, "Don't joke around in front of me. I don't like people joking with me." Qin Yun nodded and said, "I was rude just now. Please forgive me." Tian Ruling raised her saber and said, "You have to pass 2 tests. The first test is to test your attack power. Attack me with all your might. The second test is Wulan's test. It is mainly a test of your speed and reaction speed." All right. Although Qin Yun had been forgotten by Tian Ruling, he was very happy to see that she was not a weak upper immortal. Furthermore, Tian Ruling still had some impression of him. "Come on," Tian Ruling said. "I won't attack you. I will only defend. If you want to pass the test, you have to force me to take a step back." Qin Yun asked, "Can I use weapons?" "No," Tian Ruling said. "It's the same for the others. Attack me." Qin Yun retreated to the side and began to walk. This was the 9 life extinction steps. Every time he took a step, the power he condensed would become stronger. After taking 9 steps, his power would become even more terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Every step was very slow. When he stepped on the ground, there was a dull tremor. The people outside were also very surprised because the commotion inside was very big. The yellow-dressed woman outside slightly frowned. In her eyes, it was impossible for a fifth-stage immortal like Qin Yun to cause such a big commotion. Even an upper immortal would not be able to cause such a commotion. Qin Yun used the 9 life extinction steps and also condensed a very strong earthquake divine ability power. The immortal power aura that erupted from his body also caused Tian Ruling to be moved. Previously, she was somewhat disdainful. She felt that no matter how powerful a fifth-stage immortal was, he wouldn't be that strong. But now, she realized that she had underestimated the person in front of her. Qin Yun arrived in front of Tian Ruling and released a suffering divine ability power into her body. Humph! Tian Ruling never expected that Qin Yun would have such a strange divine ability attack. It caused her body to feel pain. Qin Yun took advantage of the moment when Tian Ruling was in pain and pushed out with his palm, releasing a roar of an angry dragon's mournful cry. The 9 life extinction steps and the extinction dragon 36 palms, along with the 9 extinction immortal power, released an incomparably violent immortal power. Along with the earthquake divine ability power, the tyrannical power shook and roared. Tian Ruling is also an upper immortal with rich combat experience. Although her body was in pain, she immediately reacted and suppressed the strange, suffering divine ability power to block Qin Yun's terrifying palm strike. Boom! Qin Yun's palm strike landed on Tian Ruling's vertical saber and collided with the powerful immortal power on the saber. Tian Ruling lightly snorted and was forced to take a few steps back. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. He did not know what level of upper immortal Tian Ruling was, but she was only forced to take a few steps back by him. Nothing happened at all. Ling Yuner said, "Xiao Yun, she is an upper immortal. It's impossible for you to send her flying with just a 5th stage immortal realm cultivation." Tian Ruling was extremely shocked in her heart. A hint of surprise appeared on her ice-cold face. She could not help but be extremely curious about the person in front of her, because she knew very well that if Qin Yun was an upper immortal, that palm strike just now would have severely injured her. This is a super genius, and to Tian Ruling's knowledge, this is far more terrifying than many super geniuses. Qin Yun and Tian Ruling had not seen each other for many years. He did not know how much Tian Ruling's cultivation situation had changed. I passed the first trial. Tian Ruling heaved a sigh of relief and continued. You are indeed not weak. However, are you sure you want to go to the immortal Xian Desert? It's very dangerous inside. Your future is limitless. If something goes wrong inside, it'll be too late to regret it. I'm sure I want to go. Even if I can't pass your test, I'll go myself. Qin Yun smiled slightly. Just as he finished speaking, a gentle breeze blew over. A gentle and charming woman wearing a white dress appeared beside Tian Ruling. Her jade-like skin seemed to be illuminated by the moonlight, glowing with a holy and pure glow. Her beautiful and somewhat charming face had a faint smile on it. Big sister, this person is very strong. Yuan looked at Qin Yun and smiled gently. He is very strong. However, his speed is slightly slow. If it was a normal battle, he would have been killed before he could even take a few steps. Tian Ruling nodded and then walked out from another door. Although Yuan looked elegant and beautiful, like a fairy under the moon, she was someone who killed without batting an eyelid. Yuan looked at Qin Yun and said, "Let's test your speed now. I will attack you, and you have to dodge. If you can't dodge, being injured is your own problem." "How long do I have to dodge?" Qin Yun asked. "I will punch you 100 times. As long as you can dodge 80 punches, you will pass." Yuan smiled lightly, then tied her shoulder-length black hair into a ponytail, making her look a bit more heroic. Qin Yun was ready and said with a smile, "Come on." Chapter 1271. Extreme Evasion. Qin Yun looked at Yuan and said with a smile, "With such a beautiful sister in charge of the assessment, I'm not afraid at all." Yuan giggled and said, "Little friend, your mouth is very sweet. Don't think that just because you say good things about me, I'll let you win. Although it was Shuuru who recommended you, We won't go easy on you during the assessment. Qin Yun nodded and said, Understandable. This is for everyone's own good. Yuan looked at the pair of bright eyes from before, and the charming smile on her face gradually disappeared. She frowned slightly, as if she was recalling something. Her bright and beautiful eyes were filled with confusion. Little friend, have we met before? Yuan could not help but ask. This strong feeling made her heart itch, because she had a strange feeling towards Qin Yun. She felt that Qin Yun was very familiar, but she could not remember anything. This feeling was very strange and also very maddening. Qin Yun was secretly delighted because although these acquaintances had lost a portion of their memories, they had not completely lost it. At least they still had a familiar feeling towards him. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan both had this strong feeling. That sister said the same thing just now. Qin Yun said with a smile, Is it because I'm too handsome that all of you think you know me? Little fellow, don't be so talkative. Answer sister honestly, have we met before? Yu Wulan was a little anxious as she thought about it. She wanted to dispel the doubts in her heart. We have indeed met before. We met during the Saber Sword Villa's assessment. Qin Yun said. He wanted to see if Yu Wulan had remembered anything. Saber Sword Villa's assessment? This happened a long time ago, but I don't have any impression of you. Yu Wulan frowned as she recalled and shook her head. I think you should be someone I know. How could I not remember you? Qin Yun said with a smile. If you can't remember, then don't think about it. Just get to know me again. Since we can meet again, it means that we are fated. Knowing each other before and knowing each other now is the same. Yu Wulan pouted and frowned. She tried her best to recall. Originally, it was fine if she didn't think about it, but the more she thought about it, the more she felt that there was a problem. Don't think about it. Hurry up and take the test. Qin Yun said with a smile. Did you use some strange technique to mess up my mind? Yu Wulan pouted. If you think so, then I won't take the assessment. Qin Yun said with some grievance, then turned around and left. When Yu Wulan saw that Qin Yun was about to leave, she hurriedly floated over. With a fragrant wind, she stood in front of Qin Yun and shouted, Don't go. I just said it casually. You're the person recommended by Shuru. If you leave like this, she will blame us. In fact, from the bottom of her heart, she did not want Qin Yun to leave. She wanted to stay with Qin Yun for a while longer. This was also an inexplicable feeling in her heart. Tian Ruling also had the same feeling. However, her personality was more aloof and proud, so she was not as open as Yu Wulan. Yu Wulan looked at Qin Yun from a close distance and could not help but recall. She had never had such a feeling before. Furthermore, she was certain that Qin Yun was someone she knew. Big Sister also said she was very familiar with you just now. Yu Wulan asked softly, and Qin Yun nodded and said, Don't mind this matter. The truth will naturally come to light in the future. He smiled and said, Hurry up and begin the assessment. Yu Wulan rebuked. My heart is in a mess right now. I can't even seriously assess you. I don't know why, but I can't beat you up right now. Qin Yun chuckled and said, It can't be? Sister, you are an exalted immortal. I am a little immortal. Even if I am world-shaking handsome, it is not enough to disturb your heart. Or do you think I am too handsome, so you can't bear to hit me? Yu Wulan could not help but giggle. She could not help but pat Qin Yun's handsome face and said with a chuckle, You little brother, I did not have the heart to beat you up, but now, humph, I will have to deal a heavy blow. Come. Qin Yun was already prepared. Yu Wulan's pair of jade-like fists overflowed with a burst of silver-white moonlight. Her fists were like two dancing rays of light, as if they were dancing with glowing ribbons. The fist was like light, and the force was like lightning. This was a very powerful fist technique. Qin Yun's body flashed and dodged at lightning speed. He retreated again and again, dodging the seemingly gentle but very terrifying jade-like fists. Although this large house is very big, it is very small for two people to exchange pointers. It is very difficult to dodge. In just a blink of an eye, Qin Yun suffered 2 punches. Yu Wulan is now facing a 5th-layer immortal. She has restrained her power a lot, but her speed is very fast. Even some 9th-layer immortals or ascendant immortals might not be able to dodge. Qin Yun kept dodging inside the large house. He even used his sacred eye. In order to increase his speed to the extreme, he mobilized all the power in his body. He made his immortal power and sacred body perfectly harmonize. Only like this can his body's reaction reach the extreme. In addition, his perception had to be strong. He had a strong spiritual force, and with the help of the extinction spirit eye, Yuelan's extremely fast punch would seem to be a little slower in his eyes. Then, with his judgment of the fist path, he would be able to avoid it in advance. Almost every time, he narrowly dodged. He could feel Yuelan's jade-like fists brushing past his skin. He could feel the gentleness of her jade-like fists. In order to dodge Yuelan's attacks, Qin Yun unleashed his mental power, immortal power, and body to the extreme. This caused him to enter a very wonderful state. This state allowed him to very naturally and smoothly dodge Yuelan's quick punches. Although he was hit from time to time, it was still very awesome. Yuelan is extremely scared. She finds it hard to believe that she is testing a 5th layer immortal. Even though Qin Yun is a new ascendant immortal, she is still apprehensive, because this kind of speed is very rare even for new ascendant immortals. Very quickly, Yuelan punched a total of 50 times and then stopped. Her gentle and elegant face is filled with shock. She said, "You have now been hit by my 11 punches. I still have 50 punches left. If you get hit by my 10 punches, you will be eliminated. I can dodge." Qin Yun let out a light breath. This is a very rare moment to catch his breath. Actually, Yuelan is also secretly resting. She really wanted to stay with Qin Yun for a while longer, but she also didn't want Qin Yun to pass the assessment. Because Qin Yun's talent is extraordinary, following them to the immortal Xian Desert would be extremely dangerous. She was considering Qin Yun's safety from the bottom of her heart, so she didn't want Qin Yun to pass the assessment. She didn't know why she was suddenly so concerned about a strange man. Suddenly, Yuelan attacked again. Without any warning, she appeared behind Qin Yun in a flash. Her fists danced as they attacked, bringing with them streams of light. They are like gentle lightning, flowing with holy moonlight. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. Yuelan's attack was very sudden, and she even appeared behind him in a flash. Hoo-hoo-hoo! The fist wind carried a very strong aura, causing the inside of the large house to whistle. This kind of sharp fist wind could also have a great impact. Qin Yun was hit 5 times in an instant. This time, Yuelan's strength became stronger. Her strength before was still very weak, but now she has become stronger. Qin Yun thought to himself, if not for his sacred body, those 5 punches would have definitely caused him to fall to the ground. After Yuelan punched Qin Yun 5 times, she thought that Qin Yun would lie down. She never expected that nothing would happen to him. This caused her punches to become even faster and fiercer. Qin Yun couldn't understand why Yuelan became so fierce in the last 50 punches. It was clear that she didn't want him to pass the assessment. He thought that Yuelan had a certain level of familiarity with him, so she would restrain herself when she attacked. But now, it has become even more intense. What he didn't know was that it was precisely because Yuelan had a good impression of him that she didn't want him to pass the assessment and didn't want him to go to the dangerous, immortal Xian Desert. Very quickly, the 50 punches ended. Qin Yun dodged a total of 80 punches, just enough to pass the assessment. Yuelan is somewhat angry. She is angry at herself. She felt that she was too useless. Even after using all her strength, she still let a 5th stage immortal pass the assessment. "Sister, you hit me so hard." Qin Yun rubbed the place on his body and said with a chuckle, "Humph, what kind of background do you have? You're only a 5th stage immortal, yet you have this kind of ability. You are definitely not an ordinary rogue cultivator." Yuelan looked at Qin Yun with hidden bitterness and said with slight anger, "Listen to big sister. Stay at home and don't go to the immortal Xian Desert. Without the strength of a 9th stage immortal, it is very dangerous inside. I want to go. I passed the assessment. You have to keep your word." Qin Yun chuckled and said, "Humph." Yuelan walked over somewhat angrily and vigorously pinched Qin Yun's handsome face. Be obedient. Don't go to the immortal Xian desert. Qin Yun grabbed Yu Wulan's hand and felt her gentleness and concern. Yu Wulan promptly shook off Qin Yun's hand and said with light snort, "All right, if you want to follow us and take the risk, then follow us. If you don't listen, I won't bother with you anymore." After she finished speaking, she angrily walked out of the house. The yellow-dressed woman outside the door saw Yu Wulan come out very angrily and said with a frown, "Sister Wulan, did that Xinyan make you angry? I'll go teach him a lesson. That guy passed my assessment. I advised him not to take the risk, but he refused to listen no matter what. I am so angry." Yu Wulan's words caused many people in the queue to be shocked, because Qin Yun is only a 5th layer immortal, and yet he can pass the assessment. Yu Wulan said to the yellow-dressed woman, "Arrange for that guy to join the team." Chu Yi looked at Qin Yun coming out of the house with frown. She can only do as she is told. She feels somewhat helpless in her heart, because having a 5th layer immortal in the team is definitely a burden. She also doesn't know what happened to Nangong Shuru. She actually recommended such a person to join their team. Qin Yun is all smiles as he was brought to a room by someone. Now he can stay in this small manor and wait to go to the immortal Xian desert. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling continued to assess the people who wanted to join the team. They only finished when the sky turned dark. They also recruited many immortals who are not weak. Nighttime, Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling are discussing about Qin Yun in a room. "How did Chueru meet this guy? He even came to our place." Yu Wulan suspiciously said, "Big sister, did that Qin Yun master some kind of mind confusion divine ability? Your willpower is so firm, but you were actually confused by him." Chapter 1272. People have feelings. Yu Wulan propped up her cheeks and looked at Tian Ruling. She faintly sighed. "Big sister, he said he's our little brother. How is that possible? We can't both lose our memories at the same time, right? But that guy is really familiar. Maybe he really knows some memory confusion techniques. Little Malian has mastered a miraculous martial spirit and has comprehended a divine ability in this area." Tian Ruling thought about it and could only come to this conclusion. Yu Wulan snorted lightly. "If that's really the case, then that guy is too despicable. He actually used such a method against us. I'll go find him right now and teach him a lesson." Tian Ruling hurriedly shouted, "Don't act recklessly. That's just my guess. Shuei-Ru knows him. Maybe it's because of this feeling. Before he causes us any harm, we shouldn't act rashly. When I get back, I'll go ask little Malian and see if she can do it to this extent." "Shuei-Ru has also been bewitched by that Qinyan," Yu Wulan said somewhat angrily. "This is too much. I'm just guessing." Tian Ruling shook her head and warned, "Wulan, don't act recklessly. Qin Yun's strength is not weak, and his talent is extremely high. Both you and I agree on this point. Let's observe first. After all, we are mighty immortals, and he is just a small immortal. He can't do anything in front of us. It's quite strange. Our cultivations are so much higher than his, but he can actually use a secret technique to confuse our memories." Yu Wulan said lightly, "This guy is truly despicable, using this kind of method to get close to us." The more Yu Wulan thought about it, the angrier she got. Slapping the table, she stood up and said, "No, I'm going to find him." She did not immediately leave because she was waiting for Tian Ruling's agreement. "Bring him here. If we don't beat him up, we'll ask him face to face." Tian Ruling thought for a moment and nodded. At night, Yu Wulan wore a set of black clothes as she sneaked into Qin Yun's room and knocked on his door. After Qin Yun opened the door, he saw a masked man in black. However, he knew that it was Yu Wulan. "Follow me. Don't resist." Yu Wulan grabbed Qin Yun's wrist and dragged him into a secret chamber. Qin Yun was rendered speechless. He did not know what Yu Wulan wanted to do. He was worried that Yu Wulan would seal him and prevent him from going to the immortal Xian desert. Qin Yun was brought to a bright secret chamber and sat on a stone bench. He looked at Yu Wulan's beautiful face that was filled with anger. Yu Wulan placed her hands on her hips and glared at Qin Yun, waiting for Tian Ruling to arrive. Not long after, Tian Ruling, who was wearing tight black leather clothes and had a fiery hot figure, walked into the secret room. She crossed her arms over her chest and looked at Qin Yun. Speak. What kind of enchantment did you use on us? Why we feel like we've met you before? Yu Wulan originally wanted to shout, but when she looked into Qin Yun's eyes, her heart could not help but soften. Her voice became much softer. Tian Ruling's cold eyes stared at Qin Yun. For some reason, her emotions were extremely complicated. I didn't do anything to you. Qin Yun was startled and said. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He never thought that Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan would actually think this way. This might be a hypnotic technique. Tian Ruling said, Do you really know us? Then tell me about us. Yu Wulan said, Your memories might be a little messy. In short, it's hard for me to explain this matter. Let's put it this way. There's a very mysterious power that erased me from your memories. Moreover, it didn't let you detect it. Qin Yun said, How is that possible? Tian Ruling's face was filled with disbelief. Qin Yun sighed before he began recounting his experiences with Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling were alarmed when they heard this. There were many details that Qin Yun remembered very clearly. As for those things, they did not tell anyone else, especially about killing people together with Qin Yun. Only Jianmeng knew about it. The two of them thought about it carefully and suddenly realized that their memories were missing. There were many parts that were not complete. As Yu Wulan recalled, she suddenly let out a painful cry. Tian Ruling also gritted her teeth and covered her head with one hand as she shouted in a low voice. Ling Yin hurriedly shouted, Don't let them remember. Their souls have been devoured by the power of heavenly punishment. Qin Yun now knew that if he forcefully evoked their memories, it would give them a splitting headache. Quickly stop. Don't think about those things, Qin Yun said anxiously. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan sat down and gasped for breath. I feel like my soul is about to be torn apart. Tian Ruling let out a long sigh and looked at Qin Yun. Qin Yun sighed helplessly. It seems that I shouldn't come into contact with you. If I'm not careful, I will accidentally evoke your sealed memories and cause your souls to be injured. Goodbye. Qin Yun was about to leave, but he was pulled back by Yu Wulan. Don't go. Come with us to the immortal Xian Desert. If you leave, you will definitely go in alone, right? Yu Wulan looked at Qin Yun. Her eyes flickered with a complicated expression. From the bottom of her heart, she somewhat believed in Qin Yun. I won't go in alone. Qin Yun smiled. If I don't believe it. I just thought that you would go by yourself. Yu Wulan snorted and pulled Qin Yun's hand. She said softly, Follow us. It will be much safer. Tian Ruling also said, You have already passed our test, so follow us. All right, regarding this matter, let's not talk about it in the future. I don't want you to recall it and touch upon some kind of cursed seal in the depths of your souls. Qin Yun said. We will control ourselves, Tian Ruling said coldly. Other than me, Wulan and Shui Ru, do you know anyone else? I know quite a few. Forget it. When I see them in the future, I won't say much. I really didn't know that the consequences of forcefully recalling your memories would be so serious. Qin Yun said, When we go back, we'll ask little Mei and let her see our memories. Yu Wulan glanced at Tian Ruling. In any case, this matter is definitely not simple. When Qin Yun heard Yu Wulan mention Qi Meiyan, his heart stirred. That was because Qi Meiyan's martial spirit could affect the memories of others. Perhaps there was a way to restore their memories. Tian Ruling said coldly, Qin Yun, Shui Ru recommended you. It means that she trusts you. We shouldn't have doubted you, but this matter is too strange. We can only tell you openly and ask for your understanding. Qin Yun nodded and said with a smile, I can't understand. To be honest, I don't want to be suspected of using any bewitching techniques. All right, don't talk too much to Shui Ru. I'm worried that she'll think about it too. If it's serious, it will cause her soul to be severely injured. Qin Yun's expression turned solemn. He was truly worried that such a thing would happen. Got it. Go back and rest. Tian Ruling nodded and walked over to open the door. When Qin Yun left the secret chamber, he warned Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan not to recall anything before returning to his room with a peace of mind. After Qin Yun left, Yuan took out a very thin saber and faintly sighed. Willow Moonblade, you have followed me for many years. Although you have been refined many times, your saber spirit has always followed me. Were you really refined by Qingyun at the beginning? At that time, you had yet to mature into a saber spirit. But do you have any impression of him in your consciousness? Willow Moonblade trembled. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling looked at each other in surprise. Willow Moonblade's saber spirit was a special existence. It was born from human emotions and did not belong to the heavenly spirit. Therefore, the saber spirit had a certain amount of memories of Qingyun. Is Qingyun really my sworn brother and big sister? Yu Wulan asked again. Willow Moonblade trembled again. Tian Ruling asked, if you are sure, then move twice. The Willow Moonblade in Yu Wulan's hand vibrated twice in a row. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan were both shocked, and their hearts became even more chaotic. Tian Ruling quickly held Yu Wulan's hand and said solemnly, don't think about it. It will injure the soul. We can confirm this matter now. As for why, wait until we see little Malian. Yu Wulan nodded her head slightly, but her charming face was filled with sadness. Because when she thought of how Qingyun had been forgotten by everyone, her heart could not help but ache secretly. Qingyun returned to his room and lay on the bed, his thoughts running wild. The heavenly Tao is heartless, but people have feelings. Ling Yun'er chuckled and said, Xiaoyun, these two big sisters still remember you. At least you can make them remember you in the depths of their souls. You suffered ruthless heavenly punishment, but the heavenly punishment ignored human emotions and thought that you would be completely forgotten. They only have a vague impression of me. This is not a good thing. Qingyun sighed. I am worried that they won't be able to help but recall it, and their souls will definitely be injured. Next time I meet someone I know, I won't talk so much to them so that they won't be harmed. Qingyun couldn't sleep. He sat by the window and looked at the bright moon in the sky. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling also couldn't sleep. They sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the starry sky and bright moon outside the window. At this moment, they all realized that they had forgotten someone very important to them. They are different from Nangong Shuru. Nangong Shuru knows that she lost part of her memories mainly because she used divine liquid to cultivate divine power very early on and also cultivated together with Qingyun for a period of time. Especially the later stage of half-immortal realm. She basically spent it with Qingyun. So when her memories were sealed, she resisted, but in the end she still fainted. After waking up, she realized that there is a problem with part of her memories. Wulan, don't think about it, go to sleep. Tian Ruling held Yu Wulan's hand and pulled her to the bed, letting her lie down and sleep. Yu Wulan let out a long sigh and closed her eyes. Late at night, Qingyun took out a bottle of immortal pills and ate them. These pills were refined by Nangong Shuru. After eating, he began operating his cultivation method to refine the power of the immortal pills. At daybreak, Qingyun woke up and discovered that there is one more immortal power inside his nether Sunday. He now has 6 immortal power. Xiaoyun, it would be best to hide your immortal power aura. If too many people find out that you are an immortal, the other people in the group will be very dissatisfied. Ling Yun'er said. Qingyun nodded, then took a deep breath and completely hid his aura. He walked out of the room and saw Yu Wulan wearing tight black leather clothes, a pair of black boots with immortal runes carved on them. She is also wearing very good immortal tier protective gear. Good morning, Sister Wulan, Qingyun said with smile. Chapter 1273. Deliberately collecting debts. Qingyun said in surprise. We're leaving so soon? I thought we'd have to wait a few more days. Yu Wulan sighed. We also want to wait a few more days, but the teams from the various powers have already headed to the immortal Xin Desert. If we don't hurry, even if there are good things, it won't be our turn. With that said, Yu Wulan turned around in front of Qingyun and said with a charming smile, Xiaoyun, is my clothes cool? This is my sister's outfit. Very cool and domineering. Qingyun said with a smile. When there's no one else, you can call us Big Sister and Second Sister. Yu Wulan smiled charmingly before caressing Qin Yun's handsome face. Although we have forgotten you, we are certain that you are our little brother. Second sister, don't think about it in the future. I'm really worried about you. Qin Yun looked at Yu Wulan's beautiful eyes with sincerity. Yu Wulan held Qin Yun's hand and asked with concern and gentleness, Xiao Yun, are you not wearing any equipment? Do you want me to give you a set of clothes? It's the same as mine. Qin Yun curled his lips and smiled. You've already worn it. I won't. Yu Wulan giggled and said, What does it matter? It's not a dress. Besides, I really want to see you wear a dress. Qin Yun was taken aback. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. With a fearful expression, he said, Second sister, I'm your brother, not your sister. Don't act recklessly. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Hurry up and gather in the courtyard. We're about to set off. Don't worry, big sister, and I will protect you on the way. Yu Wulan pinched Qin Yun's handsome face. She loved her little brother dearly. She did not know how powerful Qin Yun was. She only knew that she had to take good care of Qin Yun. This was because in her consciousness, she could feel an indescribable strong emotion. It was to treat Qin Yun well. Qin Yun arrived at a courtyard. Tian Ruling was dressed the same as Yu Wulan. She wore a black leather coat and a pair of immortal gray black boots. Her figure was slightly better than Yu Wulan's, especially her slender legs, which were very sexy. Tian Ruling was like a cold and wild black pearl. It had a different kind of charm. Beside Tian Ruling was Chu Yi. She was wearing white clothes, and her hair hung down to her chest. She had a mature and beautiful oval face and was charming. She was also a rare beauty. Chu Yi and Yu Wulan stood on the left and right sides of Tian Ruling, looking like two pretty daughters of a humble family. The people in the courtyard all praised these three female disciples of the Moon Palace in their hearts. They had long heard that most of the female disciples of the Moon Palace were great beauties. Now, they were not disappointed. Qin Yun stood at the back. Because his cultivation level was the lowest, he did not want to attract too much attention. 21 people passed the test. There were 10 exalted immortals and 10 ninth firmament immortals. Most of them were elderly or middle-aged. There were only 3 youths, and one of them was Qin Yun. Chu Yi knew that Qin Yun was an immortal, but since Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan did not say anything, she did not say much. When we return, we'll pay you the reward. If you perform outstandingly on the way, there will be additional rewards. Tian Ruling's voice was filled with power, causing many people's imaginations to run wild. They were all frightened to the point that their hearts trembled. Tian Ruling said, Everyone should be clear about the matter of the immortal Xian Desert, right? Then I won't say any more. Let's go. Suddenly, a young man shouted, Exalted Immortal Ruling, I heard that there's a 5th stage immortal in our team, right? That's right. Tian Ruling nodded. Will this 5th stage immortal drag us down? An old man asked. If he can pass our assessment, he won't drag us down. Yu Wulan's voice turned cold. Not necessarily. An assessment is an assessment, but in the immortal Xian Desert, the situation is ever-changing. It is completely different from an assessment. The young man looked at Qin Yun and said disdainfully, Here, only Qin Yun was concealing his aura. Therefore, after filtering out the others, they knew that the 5th stage immortal was him. Tian Ruling said, Don't worry. If you really encounter danger, you could go ahead. You don't need to be responsible for his life or death. When the time comes, Qin Yun will be under the care of the 2 sisters. They are not at ease, leaving Qin Yun to these people to protect. The young man became somewhat unhappy and said, Exalted Immortal Ruling, of course we don't care about his life or death. I'm worried that he will cause us trouble in a critical situation. If I had known earlier, I would have gone to young Master Long's side. Then you can go to young Master Long's side now. Tian Ruling's voice was cold. The young man was very tall and burly. He was a 9th stage immortal. Looking at his aura, one could tell that his strength was comparable to an exalted immortal. Furthermore, he looked so young, so he was quite arrogant. Exalted Immortal Ruling, it's not easy to find people now. Are you really willing to let me go? The young man had a complacent smile on his face. Ma Huahai, cut the crap. If you want to leave, I'll immediately terminate the contract with you. You can go wherever you want. Yu Wulan said coldly. Chu Yi frowned slightly and said in a low voice, Sister Wulan, if you terminate the contract, you have to give him 100,000 immortal jade beads. Ma Huahai raised his arrogant head and mocked. Although the fairies of the Guanghan Palace are beautiful, they don't have brains. The trip to the immortal Xian Desert is so important, yet they actually brought a 5th-stage immortal along. Women are women. They don't have a sense of the overall situation. Tian Ruling was infuriated, but because of the contract, she could not make a move. They were also unwilling to give 100,000 immortal jade beads to Ma Huahai for nothing. Qin Yin could tell with a glance that Ma Huahai was deliberately looking for trouble. He wanted Tian Ruling to chase him away so that he could obtain 100,000 immortal jade beads for nothing. Although the others were somewhat dissatisfied with the fact that there was a 5th-stage immortal in the team, they felt that it was nothing, so they did not say much. After all, offending a woman from the Guanghan Palace was not a wise move. Ma Huahai dared to jump like this. Clearly, he was thick-skinned and reckless. Tian Ruling, Chu Yi, and Yu Wulan were all very angry. How could they not see through Ma Huahai's thoughts? Qin Yin suddenly said, Ma Huahai, do you think I'm weak? Why don't we compete? All right. Ma Huahai laughed and said, Little demon, if you want to be in the limelight in front of the beauty, you have to pay the price. It's easy to get injured in a fight, so let's not fight. Let's compete in arm wrestling. The corners of Qin Yun's mouth curled up slightly. This was what he was most skilled at. Arm wrestling? Ha ha ha. With your thin arms, you will definitely be broken. At that time, don't cry and scream like a woman. Ma Huahai laughed loudly as he walked in front of Qin Yun. He was taller than Qin Yun by more than a head. His tall and sturdy body indeed gave people a sense of oppression. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan hurriedly flashed over. Ma Huahai, don't act recklessly, Tian Ruling said coldly. Yo, I can see it. Are you guys so anxious about this kid because he's good-looking? Ma Huahai said with a smile. Women are women. They're easily influenced by their emotions. It's not good to accept it just because you think it looks good. I've killed a lot of people like this who look good, but are useless. Qin Yin took out a very sturdy stone table and said very seriously, Ma Huahai, if you lose to me in arm wrestling, give me 100,000 immortal jade beads. How about it? All right, if you lose, give me 100,000. Ma Huahai had already put down his hand and said with a sneer, If you don't give it to me, I'll crush your head. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan originally wanted to stop him, but when they saw Qin Yun's resolute and confident eyes, they let Qin Yun give it a try. Tian Ruling and Qin Yun had a simple exchange of blows before, and she had a certain understanding of Qin Yun's strength. Especially Qin Yun's suffering divine ability, it was impossible to guard against. Let's sign a soul contract. I'm worried that you'll go back on your word. Just as they were about to begin, Ma Huahai suddenly said. Qin Yun was naturally very willing to sign the contract, and quickly signed it. Begin, Tian Ruling shouted. Ma Huahai grabbed Qin Yun's hand tightly and said with a sinister smile, Handsome but useless little brother, go play with your eggs. In the beginning, Qin Yun transferred the power of the suffering divine ability to Ma Huahai's arm. Ma Huahai screamed in pain as he felt a sharp pain in his arm. The 9 strands of immortal force that were gathered in his arm dissipated because of the pain. Qin Yun grunted as a burst of 9 extinction immortal power erupted from his palm. His arm carried a vibrating power as it ruthlessly pressed down. Boom! Qin Yun forcefully pressed Ma Huahai's arm against the stiff table, causing a loud rumble. What was even more frightening was that Ma Huahai's palm and arm were filled with a brutal force, causing his skin to split open and his flesh to splatter. Ah! Ma Huahai screamed. The spectators were shocked. They had no idea what had happened. Ma Huahai, who was a level 9 immortal, had actually lost to a level 5 immortal. Ma Huahai could not say anything because Qin Yun did not violate the rules. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan were secretly delighted. They already knew that Qin Yun was very strong. If you lose, give me 100,000 immortal jade beads. Qin Yun said, if you don't have immortal jade beads, then voluntarily leave our group. I don't want the compensation of 100,000 immortal jade beads. Humph. Consider yourself lucky. If it wasn't for my bad luck, you wouldn't have had a chance to win. Ma Huahai could not let others think that he had really lost to a level 5 immortal. That would be a very shameful thing. Tian Ruling and Ma Huahai terminated the contract. Ma Huahai grunted and said, I'll go find young Master Long now. He is about to set off. His team is much stronger than yours. After Yu Wulan saw him leave, she cursed in a low voice. This bastard, I think he already wanted to find that young Master Long. Let's go. Tian Ruling said coldly and led the group out of the manor. At the exit of Xinjiang City's barrier, there are many large and small teams exiting the city. After Qin Yun followed the team out of the city, they suddenly stopped. Nangong Xuemei, why are you stopping us? Yu Wulan shouted. Chapter 1274. A small trick. Chapter 1274. A small trick. Nangong Xuemei is wearing a beautiful red skirt. She is very luxuriously dressed. Her face is filled with arrogance and complacency. She is looking at Chu Yi with ice-cold eyes filled with disdain. Qin Yun finally saw Nangong Xuemei. He cannot help but tightly clench his fists. Back then, Nangong Xuemei sent 9th-level immortal assassins to kill him and Little Phoenix. He has always remembered this enmity in his heart. Nangong Xuemei doesn't recognize Qin Yun. She has more than 10 Ascendant Immortals and more than 29th-level Immortals with her. From the surface, it can be seen that her group is stronger than Tian Ruling's group. Didn't you say that last time? Tian Ruling coldly groaned and said with frown. You are going back on your words. Nangong Xuemei said with sneer. Last time it was Shuuru who pleaded for leniency, but now we have a falling out. So Chu Yi, be obedient and compensate for my losses. If you want to blame someone, blame Shuuru. She actually fell out with me because of a little servant girl. Nangong Xuemei's face is filled with anger because she was slapped by Nangong Shuuru. Luckily, this matter has not been spread out. Otherwise, it would be even more shameful. Tian Ruling, Yu Wulan, and Chu Yi looked at each other in dismay. They don't know much about Nangong family's matters, but they all know that Nangong Shuuru is very popular in the Nangong family. But now Nangong Shuuru has fallen out with her aunt. You might not believe it, but Shueru's little servant girl, Little Phoenix, colluded with a little half-immortal to steal our Nangong family's cultivation method. That little girl eloped with that little half-immortal and was caught by my subordinates. My subordinates even used 2 low-grade immortal talisman tools to kill them, but that lowly servant Little Phoenix luckily survived. Nangong Xuemei paused for a bit, breathed out a few mouthfuls of anger, then coldly groaned and said, because of this, Shueru actually scolded me. Moreover, she is still trying to cover up Little Phoenix's anger. Chu Yi very angrily stamped her foot and shouted, don't talk nonsense. How can Little Phoenix be that kind of person? Yo, Chu Yi, why are you so concerned about that little girl? Could it be that you know her very well? Nangong Xuemei sneered. The last time I was injured, I passed by Xinjiang City and stayed at Shui Ru's place. It was Little Phoenix who took care of me. Chu Yi gritted her teeth, her beautiful face full of anger. Don't slander Little Phoenix. Moreover, Shueru treats her like a younger sister. If you ruin her reputation like this, how will she be able to raise her head in the future? Nangong Xuemei let out a sharp and treacherous laugh and said, just a lowly slave. Who would care about her dignity? Not to mention her dignity, even her life was a worthless life. No matter how high her cultivation was in the future, she would always be a lowly slave and would never be able to get rid of her identity as a lowly slave. Shueru actually calls a lowly slave sister? How ridiculous! The group of exalted immortals behind Nangong Xuemei also shook their heads and laughed. The exalted immortals and immortals in Nangong Xuemei's team were all from prestigious clans. Naturally, they looked down on those who were once slaves. Chu Yi was furious. but she could only grit her teeth and look at Nangong Xiaomei. Qin Yun's expression also gradually sank and turned cold. Ling Yuner said, "This Nangong Xiaomei will also enter the immortal Xin Desert. After we enter, we will find an opportunity to kill her. Chu Yi, stop talking nonsense. Quickly compensate me for my losses." Nangong Xiaomei said in cold voice, "If you don't compensate, I can only capture you and let the Guanghan Palace's people redeem you." Nangong Xiaomei is relying on the fact that she has more people on her side, and their strength is stronger than Tian Ruling's side. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan's expression is as cold as frost. They are glaring at Nangong Xiaomei. They have fewer people on their side. If they fight, they will suffer a great loss. And Nangong Xiaomei wants to use force to demand compensation. If they really fight, it will affect their ability to enter the immortal Xin Desert. "What? You really want to fight?" Nangong Xiaomei said with sneer. "With just your few people, can you defeat us?" Tian Ruling said in anger. "Nangong Xiaomei, are you representing the Nangong family to become enemies with our Guanghan Palace?" Nangong Xiaomei proudly laughed and said, "Of course I am not representing the Nangong family. I am already married. I am no longer a member of the Nangong family. I am now a member of the Yu family. My husband is Yu Zuoquan. You should have heard his great name." "Umph, you are just his concubine. What's there to be cocky about?" Yu Wulan coldly snorted. "So what if I'm a concubine? He loves me. Look, he helped me gather a large group of experts and escorted me into the immortal Xin Desert." Nangong Xiaomei said with a proud smile. Qin Yun doesn't know who Yu Zuoquan is, but everyone here knows. The exalted immortals and immortals in Tian Ruling's group all revealed a trace of worry. They did not want to have a conflict with Yu Zuoquan's woman. Qin Yun secretly took out the magic mirror to check, and quickly found out who Yu Zuoquan is. Yu Zuoquan is at the 9th level of the upper immortal realm, and he is very young. He is one of the 10 great upper immortals. Yu Zuoquan is very romantic. He married over 100 women. Every time he held a wedding, he would marry 8 or 10 at once, which is why he is very famous. Furthermore, the women he married all came from famous families. For example, Nangong Xiaomei. She is a young, exalted immortal. Even though she is only 2nd layer, she is still willing to marry Yu Zuoquan. This is mainly because Yu Zuoquan has an immortal emperor grandfather. Yu Zuoquan's grandfather is a newly advanced immortal emperor. He is also an inscription pill master. He has many outstanding disciples and powerful descendants. He is also one of the main powers refining immortal jade beads. His position in the immortal desolate is very high. Qin Yun suddenly suspects that the reason Yu Zuoquan married Nangong Xiaomei is to get close to Nangong Xiaoru. Just like Song Fengshen, he wanted to marry Xian Lingxue to get close to Xian Rujing, but in the end, he did not even manage to marry Xian Lingxue. Moreover, everyone in the immortal desolate knows that he missed out on Xian Lingxue, a peerless woman with innate saint spirit body. To get close to a woman, he married a woman's friend. Thinking about this, Qin Yun found it very funny. Of course, young masters with illustrious family background like Yu Zuoquan and Song Fengshen have many outstanding women throwing themselves at them. Therefore, they naturally feel that as long as they raise their arms, any kind of woman can be easily captured. Yu Wulan said mockingly, "Nangong Xiaomei, your man married you to get close to Shuuru, right? Shuuru is much more outstanding than you. In order to pursue Shuuru, Yu Zuoquan married a vicious old woman like you. He is really staking his all." "Ha ha ha! Yu Wulan, shut up!" Nangong Xiaomei furiously shouted. "Do you really not want to go to immortal Xian Desert?" Chu Yi lightly sighed and said, "Back then when we were exchanging pointers, I had no intention of damaging your immortal sword. I don't have enough immortal jade beads. If you want compensation, I can only give you my immortal sword." "Is it also a high-quality immortal sword?" Nangong Xiaomei said with sneer. "Chu Yi, with your position, you should not be able to obtain a high-quality immortal tool, right? It is a high-quality immortal tool. I made great merit. Palace Master rewarded me." Chu Yi took out her immortal sword. Its scabbard is red. It is very beautiful. Don't give it to her. At worst, we will go back to the city and waste time with her. Yuan promptly walked over to stop Chu Yi. However, Chu Yi threw away her sword. She also doesn't want to cause trouble for Guanghan Palace. Nangong Xiumei is backed by Nangong family. Her man is also a person like Yu Zuokuan. She is afraid of provoking big trouble. Very good sword. Then let's write it off. Nangong Xiumei proudly smiled. Guanghan Palace's high-quality immortal tool is very good. Qin Yun suddenly yelled. Chu Yi damaged your immortal sword. You should give it to Chu Yi. Even if it is damaged, it still has some use. Nangong Xiumei coldly looked at Qin Yun and said with sneer, I didn't expect that someone would curry favor with Chu Yi. Not bad. Damaged high-quality immortal sword is trash. If Chu Yi likes to use trash immortal sword, then just use it. She took out the damaged immortal sword and threw it over. Qin Yun immediately flew over and caught the immortal sword. The immortal sword's scabbard is black. It is very simple and crude. Nangong Xiumei has already kept the good scabbard. Qin Yun took out the immortal sword and scanned it with Extinction Spirit Eye. He saw the damaged runes inside and secretly despised the person who made this sword. The sword body is intact, but the runes inside are damaged. This is most likely because the inscription master was too perfunctory when carving runes. This kind of situation is very common. This sword was given to me by my husband. Reportedly, his grandfather made it for me. It is the work of a famous master. Nangong Xiumei proudly said. Since it is the work of a famous master, how could it be damaged so easily? Qin Yun released his sixth layer immortal aura. He wants Nangong Xiumei to think that he is a little immortal. Nangong Xiumei saw that Qin Yun's cultivation is so low and said with sneer, What is a little immortal like you know? The reason why this sword was damaged was all because Chu Yi used despicable methods. You are slandering me, Chu Yi furiously said. An old ascendant immortal behind Nangong Xiumei nodded and said, It is very difficult to damage a high-quality immortal sword during a normal battle. The other party must have used some unknown method to damage the high-grade immortal sword. Another middle-aged ascendant immortal also said, This way, they can achieve their goal of victory. A woman from Guanghan Palace is actually so scheming. I really can't tell. Other people also started criticizing Chu Yi. Chu Yi's long hair hangs down her chest. She has a beautiful goose egg-shaped face. She looks charming and delicate, mature and gorgeous, but now her eyes are completely red. She is so angry that she is on the verge of crying. Qin Yun just repaired the damaged runes inside the sword and said, You are all wrong. This is a high-quality immortal tool made by a famous master. It is not easy to damage it. He finished speaking and poured his immortal power into the sword. Immediately, light rays flashed all around. Sword energy filled with oppressive pressure caused many people to exclaim in admiration. Nangong Xiumei is extremely shocked to see that the immortal sword has been repaired. Her husband Yu Zuokuan said that the sword is already damaged and cannot be repaired. Sister Yi, this is for you. This sword was refined by an immortal emperor. It is much better than your original one. Qin Yun handed over the sword to Chu Yi. Wait, Nangong Xiumei yelled. We will exchange it back. Don't even think about using your Guanghan Palace's trash to exchange for an immortal emperor's immortal sword. Chu Yi, who is on the verge of crying from anger, as well as Tian Ruling and Yuan are all shocked. They don't know what is happening. As for others, they are repeatedly looking at the immortal sword in Qin Yun's hand in admiration. All of them find it hard to believe that a little immortal like Qin Yun can release such formidable immortal power through an immortal sword. They can only attribute this to the high-quality immortal sword. Chapter 1275. Truly bad Nangong Xiumei is a layman when it comes to refining tools and runes. When her immortal sword was damaged, she went to find Yu Zuokuan. But Yu Zuokuan told her that the sword was damaged by Chu Yi's dirty method and can't be repaired. Nangong Xiumei believes him. What she doesn't know is that although the sword looks like a high-quality immortal sword, it is actually the worst kind of training goods. Whether it is the material or the runes carved on it, they're all very poor. It is impossible for it to be made by a famous master. After Qin Yun took the sword, he realized that it is the work of a novice who can refine high-quality immortal sword. Yu Zuoquan is also an expert in swindling people. Nangang Xiumei is completely fooled. You, quickly return the sword to me. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. Quickly surround them. Nangang Xiumei shouted and let a large group of people surround Tian Ruling and the others. This caused many people to come out of the city to watch. Nangang Xiumei is very suspicious in her heart because Yu Zuoquan said that the sword can't be repaired, but it can still be used. Although she's not clear about the situation, she feels that the sword is better than Chu Yi's, so she wants it back. Chu Yi now knows that Qin Yun is indeed not simple. Not only he passed Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan's test, he is also neither servile nor overbearing when facing Nangang Xiumei, a high-status immortal. He even dares to provoke Nangang Xiumei. She found it very strange that Nangang Xiueru knows such a little immortal. Now she can see that this little immortal is not ordinary. He even injured that hateful Ma Huahai and drove him away. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan know that Qin Yun is an inscription master. Their Cold Cloud Saber and Willow Moon Saber were first refined by Qin Yun. However, they didn't expect that Qin Yun, a mere immortal, would have such high skill in inscription and tool refining. Give me back my sword. Chu Yi, I don't want this broken sword anymore. Nangang Xiumei said in cold voice, my immortal sword was refined by an immortal emperor. If you forcibly take it, the consequences will be very serious. I can return the sword to you, but you must sign a soul contract with Sister Yi. If something happens to your sword again, you can't cause trouble for her. Qin Yun laughed and said, an immortal sword refined by an immortal emperor is indeed very powerful, but you don't seem to know how to use it. Didn't your husband teach you? You? Of course I know how to use it. Nangang Xiumei was secretly cursing Yu Zuoquan for not teaching her how to use such a powerful immortal sword. The celestial sword refined by an immortal emperor is extraordinary indeed. That kid is only at the 6th layer of the immortal realm, but the celestial force released by the celestial sword is comparable to the 7th or even the 8th layer of the immortal realm. Exalted immortal Snow Beauty might have made a mistake when she was refining the celestial sword. As a result, they are unable to work together. She will need some time to adapt. Tian Immortal Sword. This is the power of a powerful celestial artifact. The more powerful a celestial artifact is, the higher the requirements for its owner. Xiumei's Dragon Long. A Tian is Xiumei is, this is Emperor Xiumei. Long is she's this Long's master. Long to Shui Yin Shun. He sword, he by Tian, he is he. Actually, this group of people don't know anything. They're just talking nonsense. They're purposely speaking mysterious words to make people think that they are very knowledgeable. Indeed, those bragging seniors attracted the gazes of respect from the juniors. Heavenly Immortal Xiumei, this sword is testing your mental state. You should quickly take it back. This is not an ordinary immortal sword. I guess there is a powerful immortal tier artifact spirit inside. This kind of artifact spirit has its own thoughts and is very picky about its master. An old man said, this sword was refined by immortal emperor to you. How can it be so easily damaged? Nangang Xiumei also felt the same way. She shouted at Chu Yi, come here, I will sign a contract with you. I won't cause trouble for you anymore. Chu Yi is startled. She looked at Qin Yun and then at Tian Ruling. Tian Ruling slightly nodded. Chu Yi walked over, signed a contract with Nangang Xiumei, and took back her sword. Qin Yun also returned the broken sword. Nangang Xiumei pulled out the sword and poured in immortal power. The sword let out a long cry. It is like a dragon's low roar. It made her extremely pleasantly surprised. Qin Yun only thickened the runes inside the immortal sword a bit, allowing more immortal power to be released through the runes. Therefore, it is much better to use than before. Sister Yi, let me take a look at your sword. I am worried that she will do something to it. After Qin Yin finished speaking, Chu Yi handed over the sword. Qin Yin pulled out the sword and said with a smile, "There is no problem. This sword doesn't look weak. It is a bit better than Nangong Xiumei's." Chu Yi's face revealed a look of joy. She asked softly, "Is this true?" Nangong Xiumei said with sneer, "How is this possible?" Chu Yi, this little immortal beside you has a bit of insight, but he is just trying to curry favor with you. You are a heavenly immortal. Don't be fooled by this little immortal's flowery words. How can your broken immortal sword compare to my immortal sword refined by an immortal emperor? How about we exchange a blow?" Qin Yin tightly held Chu Yi's immortal sword and said with a smile, "All right, let's do it." Nangong Xiumei chuckled. She is also very impatient to give it a try. Everyone immediately dispersed. Chu Yi promptly said, "Let me. We are both heavenly immortals. Our immortal power is equal." Qin Yin lightly caressed the sharp sword and said with a nod, "All right, Sister Yi will surely defeat him. Not only this little immortal is handsome, his mouth is also very sweet. I have seen many men like him." Nangong Xiumei said with sneer. Chu Yi tightly held her sword. She somewhat angrily looked at Nangong Xiumei and yelled, "Come!" Nangong Xiumei and Chu Yi poured their immortal power into the immortal sword. Suddenly, Chu Yi's expression changed. She cried out in fear, my immortal sword has a problem. I cannot pour immortal power into it." Qin Yin promptly walked over to take a look, then furiously looked at Nangong Xiumei and yelled, "Evil woman, did you do something to it? You actually damaged Sister Yi's immortal sword." Nangong Xiumei's expression greatly changed. She did not do anything at all. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling hastily rushed over to Nangong Xiumei's side and looked at her with gloomy and cold expression. "You touched the immortal sword for so long. If it was not you who damaged it, then who damaged it?" Yu Wulan coldly shouted. Qin Yin threw Chu Yi's immortal sword at Nangong Xiumei's feet and shouted, "If you don't believe me, take a look yourself. A high-quality immortal sword was damaged not long after it passed through your hands." The people behind Nangong Xiumei did not say anything at this time because they also think that Nangong Xiumei used some kind of method to damage Chu Yi's immortal sword. Chu Yi is so worried that she started crying. She dearly loves her immortal sword. It is a high-quality immortal sword that Palace Master rewarded to her for her meritorious service. Yet it has been damaged by Nangong Xiumei. Nangong Xiumei is very worried. She hastily grabbed the sword and found that she is indeed unable to pour immortal power into it. It must be you little immortals doing," Nangong Xiumei yelled in panic. Ruining someone else's immortal sword requires compensation. Guanghan Palace also has the right to demand compensation from her. Qin Yin pondered for a while with frown and said, "Truth be told, I only know a bit about refining tools with runes. I read some records and books that this kind of situation is caused by the runes inside the sword being blocked. The main reason is that the immortal power poured into the sword is too turbid." He paused for a bit and said again, "My guess is that Nangong Xiumei's immortal power is too turbid. That is why the runes inside the sword are blocked. Even her immortal sword, which was refined by an immortal emperor, was blocked." Nangong Xiumei's expression immediately turned ashen because Qin Yun said that her immortal power is turbid. He is scolding her and questioning her strength. High immortals with turbid immortal power have weak foundation and very weak immortal power. Nangong Xiumei, your immortal power is very dirty. It even blocked your own immortal sword." Yu Wulan said with sneer, "This is also normal. How dirty one's heart is, how dirty one's immortal power is." "Shut up." Nangong Xiumei is so angry that her body is shivering. She wants nothing more than to hack Qin Yin to death, because now she is truly questioning whether or not her immortal power is very dirty. Qin Yin said to Chu Yi, "Sister Yi, don't blame Nangong Xiumei. She probably doesn't know that her immortal power is very turbid. She did it unintentionally, Moreover, it can be repaired, but it will take a lot of effort. Just ask her to compensate us with some immortal jade beads. Nangong Shuame's expression became a bit better, but she is still very angry because now many people are looking at her with disdain in their eyes. How dirty is the immortal power that can block the runes inside an immortal tool? Everyone secretly sighed. According to ancient records, it will take around 500,000 immortal jade beads to completely wash away the filthy immortal power inside the sword. Qin Yin looked at Nangong Shuame, whose teeth are chattering, and said, "You compensate us." After Qin Yin finished speaking, he returned to the crowd. He will leave the matter of compensation to you, Wulan and Tian Ruling. Quickly ask an immortal inscription master to come here. I want a true immortal inscription master to appraise it. Nangong Shuame yelled. Not long after, an old man who is so old that he is about to burp walked over with unsteady steps. Seeing this old man, many people respectfully saluted and greeted him. Because this old man is a famous immortal inscription master in Xian River City. His name is Tan Lang. Although he doesn't have a shop, many people ask him to refine immortal tools. Tan Lang looked at Chu Yi's immortal sword from left to right, then shook his head and said, "This sword is finished. This old man is powerless. Farewell." Nangong Shuame's expression turned deathly pale. She cannot afford to compensate with a high-quality immortal sword. Chu Yi's face is already streaming with tears. She is biting her lips and gently caressing the sword's body. Her delicate and pitiful appearance causes people's heart to ache. After Tan Lang left, Nangong Shuame gritted her teeth and said, "Didn't that little immortal say that it can be repaired with 500,000 immortal jade beads? I will compensate you with 500,000 immortal jade beads." She finished speaking, took out a storage pouch, and threw it at Chu Yi. Then she shouted to the people behind her, "Let's go." Nangong Shuame ran very fast. In short, while she ran away with those people, others shook their heads, said a few words to comfort Chu Yi, and then left. "We should also be on our way." Yu Wulan lightly sighed and said, It's all right. After we go back, let Sister Linglong or Sister Lan take a look. They will surely be able to repair it." Chapter 1276. Yuzwaku and Tian Ruling took out a small silver boat and let Yu Wulan and Chu Yi enter the cabin. Finally, she pulled Qin Yun in and controlled the boat to fly in the air. The rest of the team took out their own flying magic tools and followed behind Tian Ruling's silver boat. They believed that Qin Yun was out of luck after being pulled into the boat by Tian Ruling. Because Chu Yi's sword was difficult to repair, but Qin Yun made Nangong Shuame compensate him with 500,000 immortal jade beads. Those people felt that Qin Yun loved to show off, so he acted pretentiously, causing Chu Yi to suffer heavy losses. A high-grade immortal sword was only compensated with 500,000 immortal jade beads. Inside Tian Ruling's cabin, although Chu Yi is not crying, her eyes are red. It can be seen that she cherished that sword very much. "Qin Yin, thank you. Although this sword is broken, at least I did not lose it. Otherwise, I would have to compensate that bad woman, Nangong Shuame." Chu Yi's tearful eyes are filled with sincerity as she looked at Qin Yun. Qin Yun said gratefully, "At least I still have 500,000 immortal jade beads as compensation." She is very clear that if Qin Yun did not understand a bit of inscription, it is unknown how things would have ended today. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan sighed softly because they could not blame Qin Yun. Qin Yun smiled and said, "Sister Yi, give me your sword." Chu Yi frowned and asked in low voice, "What are you going to do?" "Help you repair it." Qin Yun said with a smile. You know how to repair it?" Chu Yi is very shocked. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling also looked at Qin Yun in astonishment. They knew that Qin Yun is an inscription master, but they felt that Qin Yun's level of inscription should not be able to deal with a high-grade immortal tool. Qin Yun took Chu Yi's immortal sword and awakened the sword's spirit sealed inside. Then he returned the sword to Chu Yi and said with a smile, "Here, try it." Chu Yi tried it, and the immortal sword immediately released immortal power. She could smoothly inject immortal power into it. She said in pleasant surprise, "You? What did you do?" Yu Wulan said in astonishment, "Xiao Yun, can you remove the turbid immortal power inside the immortal sword?" "So you also repaired Nangong Xiuemei's sword?" "Of course not. The reason why Nangong Xiuemei's immortal sword was damaged was because the runes inside it were severely damaged. I only connected it, and it can be used for the time being. If she uses it a few more times, it will be damaged," Qin Yun said with a smile. "As for Sister Yi's immortal sword, I used a little trick. It looks like it's temporarily damaged, but it's actually not damaged at all." Tian Ruling, Yu Wulan, and Chu Yi were immediately enlightened as they looked at Qin Yun in astonishment. They now know that Qin Yun did all this to help Chu Yi take back the immortal sword. Moreover, he didn't want Nangong Xiuemei to pursue this matter. He also conveniently swindled Nangong Xiuemei for 500,000 immortal jade beads. Qin Yun said it very lightly, but they all knew that it was extremely difficult to accomplish this. Only those who were extremely proficient in inscription refining could do it. "Sister Yi, I trick you into crying, I'm sorry," Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. "It's fine. I made Nangong Xiuemei suffer a great loss. A few tears are nothing." Chu Yi gently smiled. "She is very charming." Then she took out a storage bag and handed it to Qin Yun. "This is yours, I don't want it. This is Nangong Xiuemei's 500,000 immortal jade beads. Let's split it." Qin Yun also doesn't want to keep it all to himself. Finally, Qin Yun took 200,000 immortal jade beads. Yu Wulan, Tian Ruling, and Chu Yi each took 100,000. "Xiao Yun, are you an inscription master? How can you be so awesome?" Chu Yi curiously asked. "I only know a little trick to swindle those who don't know anything about inscription refining." Qin Yun laughed loudly. Then his expression slightly sank and said in cold voice, "Truth be told, Nangong Xiuemei sent assassins to kill me and Little Phoenix." Hearing Qin Yun's words, Tian Ruling and the others are very alarmed. They have heard rumors about Little Phoenix eloping with someone else. It has caused an uproar in Nangong family. In short, I did not elope with Little Phoenix. It was all fabricated by Nangong Xiuemei and the others. They wanted to find a legitimate reason to kill Little Phoenix. Qin Yun very furiously said, "Nangong Xiuli and Long Tonrin died near Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain. We all heard about this matter. Did those bastards also attack you? Do you and Little Phoenix know some secret about them?" Tian Ruling coldly asked. "Because I obtained the divine fruit. That's why they want to rob me." Qin Yun said, You were the first masked man to climb Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain. No wonder you know Shuiru." Chu Yi said in shock, "Let's not talk about this. I will not let Nangong Xiuemei off." Qin Yun said calmly, but his eyes are filled with dreadful, killing intent. Chu Yi asked, "Xiao Yun, you want to enter Immortal Xian Great Desert to find the divine fruit? You are the masked man who climbed Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain. Back then you were only a 3rd layer immortal, but not long after, you became a 6th layer immortal. Is this all thanks to the divine fruit?" "Not all. It can only make me a 5th layer immortal." Qin Yun said with smile. "Shuiru gave me a bottle of pills. After I eat it, I will become a 6th layer immortal." Yu Wulan said, "If you have any harvest in Immortal Xian Great Desert, you will definitely be able to break through to 9th layer immortal." Qin Yun asked curiously, "Didn't your Guanghan Palace occupy a moon god mountain? Are there any divine fruits on it?" "Yes. But those divine fruits have all become spirits. They can't be eaten directly. Currently, we haven't thought of a way to pick them," Tian Ruling said. "The reason we're going to Immortal Xian Great Desert this time is to find divine trees and bring them back to Moon God Mountain to be planted." Chu Yi said, "Our Guanghan Palace has sent many disciples to various holy lands to find divine trees so that Moon God Mountain can have more divine fruits." Qin Yun nodded. He feels that Moon God Mountain can release special divine power to make divine trees bear fruit quickly. Evening, Nangong Xiuemei and others are resting in a forest beside Immortal Xian River. She took out her immortal sword and felt very happy in her heart. She felt that even though she lost 500,000 immortal jade beads, she understood the power of her immortal sword. Furthermore, she destroyed Chu Yi's immortal sword. An old man said, "Exalted immortal Xuemei, don't take that little immortal's words to heart. Your immortal power is not muddy at all. He is just pretending to be profound and spouting nonsense." Another old man also laughed and said, "That's right. We have been in the upper immortal realm for so many years. We are much more clear about the purity of immortal power than that little immortal." That little immortal also pretended too much. Otherwise, it would not have been easy for exalted immortal Shui Mei to escape. Now, she only spent 500,000 immortal jade beads to compensate. A middle-aged man laughed. "Chu Yi's broken immortal sword can't withstand my powerful immortal power at all. That's why it was damaged." When Nangong Shunei heard the words of these seniors, she felt very happy in her heart. However, on the surface, she sneered, "My immortal sword is much stronger than hers." As she spoke, she pulled out her immortal sword and injected powerful immortal power into it. The sword trembled and burst out with a wave of oppressive immortal power aura. The surrounding old men all cried out in surprise and praised. Nangong Xuemei proudly sneered and vigorously slashed down at the immortal profound river in front of her. Crash! A sword energy shot out and entered the river. The powerful immortal power rushed out like a fierce dragon crossing the river, setting off waves of angry roars, causing everyone to burst into cheers. Nangong Xuemei's beautiful face revealed a proud smile. She felt very happy in her heart because she felt that the immortal power she released from her sword became even stronger. Xiao xiao xiao. Feeling very happy, she continuously waved her sword and stabbed at the immortal profound river, releasing wave after wave of biting cold and powerful sword energy. Those ninth heaven immortals and upper immortals all looked on enviously from the side and repeatedly cheered, praising the might of the immortal sword. Just as Nangong Xuemei was waving her sword, the sword's light suddenly disappeared. She also felt that her immortal power seemed to be blocked. This caused her expression to change. She only felt that the immortal sword was testing her, so she remained calm and indifferently said, "Let's stop here for today. Everyone go rest." Nangong Xuemei is very anxious in her heart. She is very worried that her immortal sword will not be able to recover. She also suspects whether or not her immortal power is too turbid or not. Everyone dispersed and went to rest in the forest. They don't know that Nangong Xuemei's immortal sword has been damaged again. Nangong Xuemei is inside her carriage, using the devil mirror to communicate with Yu Zuoquan. She informed him about the situation of the immortal sword. After Yu Zuoquan heard from the devil mirror, he said with sneer, "Xuemei, you have been tricked. Your immortal sword has been damaged for a long time. It is impossible to repair." Then why can my immortal sword be repaired? I personally experienced it, and it is even better than before. Nangong Xuemei's body slightly swayed. If she was truly swindled of 500,000 immortal jade beads and still can't investigate Chu Yi, then she is truly too stupid. She is so angry that she wants to flip the table. That is your misconception. In short, you have encountered a very clever swindler. Chu Yi's immortal sword should not have been damaged. Moreover, there is no turbid immortal power blocking the runes. This swindler must have used some trick to create a false impression of damage. This swindler's skill in swindling is absolutely top-notch. Moreover, he is very experienced. Yu Zuoquan, I'm a descendant of Yu family. My Yu family is an inscription aristocratic family. Someone actually swindled us. Yu Zuoquan said with sneer. "Husband, you must help me get back those 500,000 immortal jade beads." Nangong Xuemei is trembling in anger as she shouted, "I will immediately take a trip to Immortal Xin Great Desert to meet that swindler. Also, the immortal sword I gave you is very strong. That little slut Chu Yi must have used some trick to damage it." Wukuin groaned. Nangong Shuamei is gnashing her teeth. She is furiously cursing Chu Yi in her heart. Actually, Wukuin is also swindling her, because her high-quality immortal sword is indeed very weak. It has many small defects. Wukuin doesn't dare to let Nangong Shuamei know the truth. Otherwise, if Nangong Shuamei causes a huge ruckus, it would be terrible. Husband, quickly come over and help me pinch that little slut Chu Yi to death. And that little immortal, he actually played me like a fool. Nangong Shuamei is extremely angry. She screamed inside the carriage. Chapter 1277. The altar descends. Qin Yun sat in Tian Ruling's small boat. Even though it is late at night, he is still filled with vigilance. They are currently flying above the immortal profound river. Many powerful immortals and immortal beasts would fly above this great river and rush to the immortal profound desert. Tian Ruling did not rest either. As long as they did not continuously fight or run for more than half a day, they would not be tired. The so-called rest was just to recover their lost immortal power so that they could maintain their peak condition. When fighting, they would have enough immortal power to output. Qin Yun took out the magic mirror and searched through its contents. Xiao Yun, did you inject 100,000 immortal jade beads into the magic mirror? Chu Yi asked. 100,000 immortal jade beads? Why so many? Qin Yun is somewhat surprised. Chu Yi complained. It's all because of that immortal emperor magic mirror. Now that I can upgrade the magic mirror, even in the area covered by the Sun God Stone, I can still smoothly use the magic mirror. However, I need 100,000 immortal jade beads to start upgrading. I can't bear to spend it. Furthermore, I heard that 100,000 immortal jade beads is only for the quota to upgrade. If I want to completely upgrade it, I will need a total of 300,000 immortal jade beads. That bastard immortal emperor magic mirror. He wants immortal jade beads. Tian Ruling cursed in a low voice. That's right. Our Guanghan Palace doesn't use the magic mirror because we are protesting against this shameless fellow. Xiaoyun, you don't know, but Immortal Emperor Magic Mirror said that as long as we are willing to post some pictures of our arms, legs, and navel in the magic mirror, someone will help us pay the immortal jade beads. It's too wretched. Yuan scolded lightly. Qin Yun laughed involuntarily. Immortal Emperor Magic Mirror is indeed too outrageous. Chu Yi combed her long hair in front of her chest. She looked at the magic mirror and said softly. Later on, our Guanghan Palace's palace master, who is also Immortal Emperor Yu, personally appeared and intimidated the magic mirror immortal. He controlled the contents of the magic mirror and did not allow any images of the Guanghan Palace disciples to appear. Otherwise, that wretched Immortal Emperor Magic Mirror would definitely use our images to exchange for immortal jade beads. Qin Yin now understands why he could not find any information related to Xiao Yuelon and others on the Devil Mirror. It turns out that the Devil Mirror Immortal Emperor did not dare to offend Yu, so he secretly controlled it. This Black Tortoise God has released some news again, Chu Yi suddenly said. She sat between Yuan and Tian to let them see the contents of the mirror. Chu Yi used the magic mirror for the convenience of gathering information. It wasn't that the Moon Palace's disciples didn't use it at all. Only a small number of disciples would use it when there was a special task. However, Qin Yun felt that the Moon Palace was definitely guarding against certain abilities of the demonic mirror. He suddenly suspected that the mirror could automatically record the user's appearance and be controlled by the Immortal Mirror Emperor. The Black Tortoise God was the little black donkey. His first piece of news was related to the sacrificial altar. The black donkey announced that there would be 8 altars descending, and all of them had 18 levels. As for where they would descend, he didn't specify. All he said was that he would break them down next time. He also said that the 18 level altars were obtained by the 8 sun sects of the Divine Wilderness. When Qin Yun saw the news, he thought to himself, it's another 9 sun sect, and it's from the Divine Wilderness. Looks like in the Divine Wasteland, these 8 sun sects are extremely powerful. Big sisters, I want to go out to enjoy the wind and look at the starry sky, Qin Yun suddenly said. Be careful. Don't stray too far from our team. Yu Wulan nodded. Qin Yun walked out of the cabin and flew in the air. He maintained a certain distance from the various flying equipment in the team. Then he took out the magic mirror and contacted the little black donkey. Little Black, what's the situation with the 8 9-sun altars? Qin Yun asked. The 9-sun sects of the Divine Desolate are jealous of the sun god stones in the Immortal Desolate, so they took down the 8 altars. I don't know how they got them. In short, they want to use the altars to collect all kinds of sun god stones in the Immortal Desolate. The little black donkey laughed and said, I'll tell you for free. If others want to know, they have to pay 10,000 immortal jade beads to see. Just you wait, I'll soon announce a fee. Qin Yun asked worriedly. Little Black, is this a good thing for the Immortal Desolate? I don't know. In short, when the time comes, the people who will occupy these 8 altars will definitely be very strong powers in the Immortal Desolate. When the time comes, they will also work for the 9-sun sects of the Immortal Desolate. Then, they will crazily plunder the heavenly treasures produced by the Sun God Stone and use the altars to teleport to the Divine Desolate. The little black donkey said, Looks like it's not a good thing. These guys from the Divine Desolate are really greedy. Qin Yun cursed in a low voice. Who isn't greedy? Of course, these 8 9-sun sects can be considered very capable. The little black donkey said again, Little mortal, you have to be careful in the future. Don't let them discover your 9-sun divine spirit. I'm worried that the 8 9-sun sects of the Divine Desolate have another goal. They want to find the 9-sun divine spirit and the 9-een divine spirit. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. This made him feel even more uneasy. Let's not talk anymore. I'm going to release the news. I'm going to become a tycoon. Ha ha ha. The little black donkey laughed loudly. After Qin Yun cut off the connection, he returned to the cabin of the small boat. Chu Yi looked at O Jin and scolded in a low voice. This great god Xianwu has released another message, but he needs to pay 10,000 immortal jade beads to see it. Furthermore, he needs to upgrade the magic mirror to be able to use the function of paying immortal jade beads. This is hundreds of thousands. Yu Wulan sighed lightly and said, Looks like this time, many people will have to spend hundreds of thousands to read that message. Ever since the magic mirror was invented by the immortal Emperor Magic Mirror, all kinds of news spread very quickly. Especially regarding the altar, many people knew about the existence of the divine servants. Sister Yi, give me your magic mirror, Qin Yun said with a smile. I'll help you upgrade it for free so you can view that message. How is this possible? Chu Yi said in shock, her face filled with disbelief. If it's really possible, then wouldn't I be able to use the magic mirror forever? Yu Wulan looked at it in astonishment. Xiao Yun, how many people know about this? Tian Ruling frowned and said solemnly, This must not be spread out. Otherwise, Immortal Emperor Magic Mirror will cause trouble for you. Immortal Emperor Magic Mirror said that whoever can break the magic mirror will become his big brother. That's what he said, right? Qin Yun said with some doubt. You believe that? If you really want to find him, he would definitely make you disappear from the face of the earth. How could he take you as his big brother? Yu Wulan also warned Qin Yun seriously. Chu Yi handed the magic mirror to Qin Yun and said excitedly, Xiao Yun, can you really break it with your help? A free magic mirror is something that many immortals yearn for even in their dreams. Qin Yun took Chu Yi's magic mirror and began fiddling with it. Yu Wulan and the others watched attentively, but they could not tell what Qin Yun was doing. After a while, Qin Yun said with a smile, It's done. Chu Yi took it and looked at it. Then, she opened the great god Xianwu's message and happily shouted, It's really a success. Xiao Yun, you're so awesome. Chu Yi immediately sat beside Qin Yun, hugged him, and kissed him on the cheek. Yi, how can you kiss Xiao Yun so casually? Yu Wulan's gentle and charming face was slightly jealous as she said with a light pout. The charming and pretty Chu Yi hugged Qin Yun and stuck out her tongue at Yu Wulan with a coquettish smile. I just want to kiss him. Being hugged by such a fragrant beauty, Qin Yun could only smile awkwardly. Tian Ruling warned sternly. Xiao Yun, you must not spread this matter. I helped little Phoenix do it, and told her not to spread it around. Qin Yun said. That's good. Tian Ruling nodded. Chu Yi immediately signed a soul contract and promised not to tell anyone. After all, the magic mirror was hers. If she showed it to others and they found out, the consequences would be severe. Yuan sat beside Qin Yun and asked, Xiao Yun, how did you do it? If the immortal mirror emperor knew, he would definitely kill you. It's just a small trick. Qin Yun smiled. Your little trick is too powerful. Many inscription masters of our Guanghan palace tried very hard, but they were unable to succeed. Chu Yi is playing with a magic mirror and leaning on Qin Yun's shoulder. Her hand is hugging Qin Yun's waist, looking very intimate. Suddenly, Chu Yi yelled, Sister Rujing, there is news. She promptly handed over the magic mirror to Tian Ruling. Tian Ruling looked at Qin Yun because he is not a Guanghan Palace disciple. Ruling, it's urgent. Xian Rujing's voice came out of the magic mirror. I will leave for a bit. Qin Yun very consciously said. Wait a minute, who is that man? His voice is very familiar. Xian Rujing hastily yelled. Rujing, I am Qin Yun. Do you know me? Qin Yun asked. You. I don't know you. Xian Rujing's mood is very strange. Qin Yun is secretly alarmed. He frowned and walked out of the small boat. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan glanced at each other because they feel that Xian Rujing is also Qin Yun's acquaintance, but her situation is the same as them. She has forgotten about Qin Yun. And Qin Yun still thinks that Xian Rujing has not forgotten about him. After all, Xian Rujing has Ice Goddess God Tear Soul. Qin Yun is flying outside the small boat. His brows are tightly knitted as he looked at the bright moon in the sky. After a while, Tian Ruling flew out, handed over the magic mirror to Qin Yun, and said, Sister Rujing wants to talk to you alone. Qin Yun is startled and took the magic mirror. Tian Ruling flew back to the cabin. She did not ask anything. She only felt that Xian Rujing found Qin Yun's voice very familiar, so she wanted to ask a few more questions. The situation is the same as when they first met Qin Yun. Qin Yun took the magic mirror and asked, Rujing, do you not remember me? Bullshit. How can I forget you, bastard? I will remember you even if you turn into ashes. I thought you died. Xian Rujing shouted. How is this possible? Don't you have slave governing collar on your neck? If I died, you should have sensed it. Qin Yun said with frown. It was because my slave governing collar suddenly separated from my soul that I thought you were dead. Moreover, everyone forgot about you. Yuan, Shuriwei, Sister Bingxing, they all forgot about you. I mentioned Qin Yun's name to them, but they did not remember you. Xian Rujing said, her voice is filled with fear. Then do you know the reason? Qin Yun asked. The evil god said that this is heavenly punishment. Only those who possess a saint-level or god-level soul will never forget me. Chapter 1278. Ninth altar from Xian Rujing's tone. Qin Yun realized that the reason why he is in this situation is not as simple as violating heavenly rules in this life. What is the specific situation? Tell me. Qin Yun said. I don't know either. Oh, that's right. How did you pass the immortal gate? Xian Rujing asked. She only learned from Nangong Shiru and the others that Qin Yun is stuck in the immortal gate. After Qin Yun came to Immortal Desolate, Nangong Shiru and the others forgot about him. Qin Yun told Xian Rujing about how he passed through Immortal Gate, as well as how he passed through heaven-defying tribulation. Xian Rujing cried out in alarm. So that's how it is. You shouldn't have been able to enter the Immortal Desolate. Not only did you come to the Immortal Desolate, you even attracted a heaven-defying tribulation. So the heaven-defying tribulation mentioned in the magic mirror was actually caused by you. Rujing, after Yuan and the others cultivate saint-level soul, will they remember me? I don't know. It might require a celestial soul. Xian Rujing sighed and said, When I was together with big sister Lingxiu, I mentioned you to her, but she said that her memory of you is very vague. Later on, I tried to guide her to remember about you, but it injured her soul, so I didn't dare to ask you well on and the others. Doesn't Sister Ling Xue have a wisp of your soul? Asked Qin Yun. Yes, but she hasn't awakened my memories, and her soul is still an immortal level soul. If her martial spirit becomes a saint-level soul, then her soul can also become a saint-level soul. At that time, let's see if she can remember you. Xian Rujing let out a long sigh. Xiao Yun, rest assured, even though they have forgotten you, I still remember you. Don't be too sad. I am very happy to be able to contact you. Qin Yun said with smile. I thought you were dead. Umph. I knew that Scourge like you would not die so easily. Xian Rujing lightly groaned and said, Rujing, you are certain that I am dead. Are you crying like a dog? Qin Yun asked with a mischievous smile. How is this possible? I don't even know how happy I am, because that damned slave ruler's collar had left my neck. This great god is laughing even in my dreams. Xian Rujing said, What a heartless woman. At the very least, you gave your first kiss. Do you really not have any feelings for me? Qin Yun curled his lips. Xian Rujing gnashed her teeth in anger, then changed the topic. Xian nascent divine fruit has appeared in immortal Xian Great Desert. It is the fruit of divine tree. It turns into a baby and runs everywhere. I contacted Ruling just now to give her pointers on how to collect the profound nascent divine fruit. Great Goddess Rujing, where are you? Qin Yun suddenly wants to find Xian Rujing. Because Xian Rujing is ice and snow goddess, she must be very knowledgeable about sun godstones, divine fruits, and divine trees. This great god is on the way to sun-suppressing divine arrow. Don't come over. It is very dangerous here. Moreover, the 8 altars are about to descend. I reckon that they're also here for the sun-suppressing divine arrow. By the way, Little Cloud, didn't we encounter a mysterious altar in the floating cloud city of the 9th Netherworld realm? That altar is most likely a 9-sun sex altar. Xian Rujing said, In the Divine Desolate, there were originally 9 9-sun sects. Later one of them was destroyed by the alliance of the other 8 9-sun sects. Therefore, there are only 8 9-sun sects in the Great Desolate. That altar in the floating cloud city of the 9 Netherworld realm has always puzzled Qin Yun. Now hearing Xian Rujing's words, it is most likely the altar of the exterminated 9-sun sect. Could it be that my past life had some kind of connection with that exterminated 9-sun sect? Qin Yun doubtfully muttered. Most likely. When I was in the Divine Desolate, I also never saw a 9-sun sect's altar. I only heard that 9-sun sect's altar is very awesome. It can travel through any space in the Great Desolate. Wait until the 8 altars of the 9-sun sect appear, then we will know. Xian Rujing said, How did you get along with Ruling and others? Ruling and Wulan are your big sister and second sister. They have already forgotten you. How can they be so familiar with you? They have not completely forgotten me. As soon as they saw me, they felt that I was very familiar. Qin Yun said with smile, Rujing, why did you say that you don't know me? Xian Rujing lightly groaned and said, It is because I am worried that you will talk nonsense. You better listen to me. You are not allowed to say that I am an ice mother tigress in front of them. You are not allowed to say that I bit you. You are not allowed to say that I forcefully kissed you. Remember that I did not. If you dare talk nonsense, you are done for. Xian Rujing's voice is filled with dense, threatening intent. It is as if she is ferocious enough to want to bite people. I know, Qin Yun said with smile. Then can I talk about the matter of me using Dragon Claw Hand on you? Bastard, you are done for. Xian Rujing's angry shout came from the Devil Mirror. It is filled with fiendish anger. She roared in a deep voice. If you dare say such things to Ruling and others, I guarantee that I will bite off your tongue. Qin Yun inhaled a mouthful of cold air, then laughed and said, Relax. I will not talk nonsense. Xian Rujing yelled, Hand over the Devil Mirror to Ruling. I want to speak with her. Qin Yun returned to the cabin and handed over the Devil Mirror to Tian Ruling. Ruling, I just woke up. I know this brat Qin Yun. He is a trustworthy person. His talent and inscription is very good. You don't need to be afraid that he will have improper thoughts because he is a castrated person. He has been castrated using curse. He can no longer grow back. Truly a pitiful child. You must protect him properly. Xian Rujing finished speaking and then cut off the connection. Qin Yun's heart is immediately galloping with 10,000 horses. He has 10,000 curses to say. This Xian Rujing is actually spreading rumors about him. Chu Yi and Yu Wulan's face turned red hearing this. They're looking at Qin Yun with expression filled with sympathy. Tian Ruling's skin is dark. Her expression is ice cold, but when she looked at Qin Yun, her expression is filled with pity. After Xian Rujing cut off the connection, she laughed like a blossoming flower. Qin Yun seems to be able to hear Xian Rujing's sharp and complacent evil laughter. Xiao Yun, I really did not expect you to be so pitiful. Chu Yi promptly arrived beside Qin Yun, pulled his hand, and gently comforted him. Yu Wulan's eyes lit up. She walked over and caressed Qin Yun's handsome face and said, Xiao Yun, take it easy. This is nothing. How about this? You turn into a woman and join our Guanghan palace. We will surely welcome you. All right. Chu Yi promptly said with smile. Xiao Yun, we will be sisters from now on. Qin Yun's face is filled with black lines. He cursed Xian Rujing in his heart. Qin Yun coughed twice, then said with smile, Don't listen to Rujing's nonsense. I am a complete man. Yu Wulan said with smile, Xiao Yun, we all understand. If you don't want to become a woman, we won't force you. Rest assured, in our eyes, you are a good man. Qin Yun very much wants to take off his clothes to prove himself. After all, this is more convincing than any explanation. I really haven't been castrated by any curse. Qin Yun has a look of despair. He let out a long sigh and said, Rujing deliberately said it. Qin Yun discovered that no matter how he tries to explain, Yu Wulan and Chu Yi are still looking at him with eyes filled with sympathy. Why don't you believe me? Qin Yun's bitter-gourd face is filled with helplessness. Tian Ruling said, Let's not talk about this. Rujing just said that Xian nascent divine fruits appeared in immortal Xian Great Desert. We must be careful. Qin Yun still wants to explain, but Yu Wulan said again, Our Moon God Mountain's divine fruits are all Xian nascent divine fruits. Those naughty babies run all over the mountain. It is impossible to catch them. After Yu Wulan finished speaking, Qin Yun wanted to interrupt, but Chu Yi pulled Qin Yun's hand and said with charming smile, Xiao Yun, you haven't seen those Xian nascent divine fruits, right? They are very naughty. Wait until I return to Guanghan Palace. I will ask Palace Master and others if there is any way to cure your curse. Maybe Xian nascent divine fruits will be useful. Sister Yi, thank you. Qin Yun suddenly said with some gratitude. However, in his heart, he cursed himself for saying that. He wasn't cursed at all. Good little brother. Then who do you think is more beautiful between Sister Yi and Sister Wulan? Chu Yi said with a grin. Sister Yi is beautiful. Sister Wulan is also beautiful. Qin Yun said with a smile. Then who is the most beautiful? Chu Yi is somewhat dissatisfied with Qin Yun's answer. Yu Wulan also looked at Qin Yun with a smile, waiting for his answer. Sister Ruling is the most beautiful. Qin Yun scratched his head and smiled. I prefer Sister Ruling. Tian Ruling, who is sitting there with her arms crossed in front of her chest, looked cool and cold. At this moment, she couldn't help but reveal a smile. Xiao Yun, your eyes are not bad. Yu Wulan also wanted to compete with Chu Yi and asked, Xiao Yun, of course Big Sister is more beautiful than me and Yi. But between me and Yi, who do you think is the most beautiful? Chu Yi also tightly held Qin Yun's hand and looked at him with hidden bitterness. Well, both of you look equally beautiful on the surface. If you really want to differentiate between the two of you, you have to go a step further. For example, your figure. This should be easier to compare when you take off your clothes, right? Qin Yun smiled foolishly. Just take it off. Xiao Yun is also... When Yu Wulan said this, she realized that her words were somewhat inappropriate. Qin Yun cursed Yu Wulan in his heart. She really treated him as a eunuch, so she did not mind him taking off his clothes here. Sister Yi is the most beautiful, because she just kissed me. Qin Yun said with a smile. A fragrant kiss. Then I'll kiss you too. Yu Wulan refused to admit defeat and kissed Qin Yun's face. Tian Ruling hurriedly pulled Qin Yun over and said with a smile, Xiao Yun is mine. Don't fight over him. You just said that he only likes my type. Qin Yun was secretly grateful to Tian Ruling for helping him out. Otherwise, he would have been tormented to death by Chu Yi and Yu Wulan. After Tian Ruling pulled Qin Yun over, she squeezed him into a corner. Chu Yi and Yu Wulan could not approach and could only sit outside. Qin Yun leaned against this cold and overbearing big sister and felt very at ease. He also smelled the unique and alluring fragrance on her body that was filled with wildness. Chapter 1279. Profound Infant Divine Fruit. Qin Yun never expected Tian Ruling to have such a side to her. It was impossible to guard against. Tian Ruling calmly retracted her hand and looked at Qin Yun. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. This domineering, ice-cold, and valiant beauty smile brought with it a unique charm and flirtatiousness. However, it made Qin Yun feel a chill down his spine. Among all the women he met, Bing Xing and Xian Rujing are also like this. They take advantage of him when he doesn't even have the time to do so. Tian Ruling coldly verified Qin Yun's true body, but she did not say a word. She continued sitting there with her arms crossed over her chest, as if she did not intend to tell Yu Wulan and Chu Yi. In Qin Yun's illusory space, Ling Yuner giggled and said, Xiao Yun, this big sister wants to swallow you alone. What a domineering style. Don't talk nonsense. Qin Yun lightly groaned and said, In the end, who taught big sister bad? Ling Yuner said with a smile, This is very similar to Bing Xing's fairy Xingling. However, it was also a little domineering and had its own uniqueness. It must have been with Shui Tianzi, that coquettish seductress. Qin Yun was worried that Tian Ruling's hand would act up again, so he asked, Are there many Xian nascent divine fruits on the Moon God Mountain? How do we use these profound nascent divine fruits? Yu Wulan quickly replied, The profound nascent divine fruit can't be eaten directly. Moreover, you can't bear to eat them. They are all very naughty little things. As for how to use it, we don't know for the time being. In short, Elder Sister Rujing is more proficient in this aspect. She only told us how to catch the profound nascent divine fruit first, and let us collect and preserve the profound nascent divine fruit. Is the profound nascent divine fruit really not edible? What will happen if I eat it? Qin Yun was also imagining things in his mind. It was indeed impossible to eat a divine fruit that was as lively as a baby. Sister Rujing said that if you eat it directly, you will develop a demonic barrier in your heart. In your future cultivation, you will gradually fall into the demonic path and completely lose yourself, turning into a demon. Yu Wulan said, Xiao Yun, if you really get it, don't eat it carelessly. Keep it first. Qin Yun nodded and said, I won't eat randomly. He felt that he would definitely get an answer if he asked the little black donkey. The heretic god might know. He now discovered that evil god, little black donkey, and Xian Rujing's understanding of divine desolate matters are all different. They have different knowledge. By the way, Sister Ling Xue is also in Moon Palace. How is she now? Asked Qin Yun. Xiao Yun, you know Big Sister Rujing and Big Sister Ling Xue? They are very powerful in the Guanghan Palace. They can quickly become Xian immortals. I reckon that they will be able to make a big breakthrough soon. Chu Yi said with a face full of envy, I am only a heavenly immortal now. Sister Rujing has Gemini spiritual veins, and Sister Ling Xue has innate saint soul constitution. These two sisters are really powerful. Yu Wulan said enviously. Xiao Yun, how did you get to know Sister Rujing? Tian Ruling asked. Well, it's a long story. I met her in the Spirit Desolate. At that time, her cultivation level was about the same as mine. I refined quite a few pieces of equipment for her, and this woman often took advantage of me. Oof. Qin Yun said, You are now a 6th layer immortal and she is a Xian immortal. How did the gap between you two suddenly become so big? Chu Yi is very astonished. In these past few years, the sun has changed, and everyone has advanced by leaps and bounds. If your cultivation was about the same as Sister Rujing's, then you should be a heavenly immortal. Qin Yun said with smile. I was injured, so my cultivation stagnated for a period of time. Is it because of that curse? Yuan said somewhat sadly. Xiao Yun, if not for that curse, you would definitely be a good man. Qin Yun is very speechless. He doesn't know if Yuan is trying to comfort him or provoke him. Daybreak, Qin Yun came out of the cabin of the small boat. Qin Yun spent the night with the three great beauties of Moon Palace. The other Ascendant Immortals and Ninth-Layer Immortals in the group all looked at Qin Yun with a strange expression. Of course, everyone thinks that Qin Yun might have been scolded for the whole night. Chu Yi's immortal sword was damaged. As long as Nangong Xuemei gave him 500,000 immortal jade beads, this was Qin Yun's idea. When Qin Yun came out, he saw a dazzling golden desert in front of him. The sand of the desert is truly releasing a golden radiance. If it was at night, it would be even more beautiful. The immortal profound river that passed through the desert has been dyed golden. The rapid torrent is like a golden dragon traversing the desert. In front of us is the immortal profound desert. After entering, we won't be able to fly. An old man said, Exalted immortal ruling, has your magic mirror been upgraded? When the time comes, we might need to make all kinds of connections. Only after upgrading the magic mirror can be used within the energy range of the Sun Divine Stone. Because the amount of immortal jade beads needed to upgrade is too much, the other people in the group are reluctant to part with it. It's upgraded, Chu Yi said indifferently. That's good. The old man revealed a smile. When the time comes, Exalted Immortal Yi, you need to pay attention to the news outside and then pass it on to us. We also want to know what's going on outside. The magic mirror truly has magical power. As long as everyone has time, the square magic mirror will always be in their hands. Only the disciples of Moon Palace, because of some reason, were forbidden, so they did not overuse it. Let's go. Let's enter the desert, Tian Ruling shouted. Qin Yun followed them and quickly flew towards the golden desert. When they arrived at the side of the desert, they landed on the ground and walked into the desert. The immortal profound river traversed the desert, and there were actually many houses built by the river. It looked like a small town. An old exalted immortal said, Exalted immortal ruling, I heard that there are many people selling information in this town. Should we go and buy some information? Tian Ruling thought for a moment and nodded. Let's go together. With more people, those fellows won't dare to cheat. Although the immortal profound desert is one of the 10 sacred lands of the Xian province, it is still extremely dangerous. If they're not on guard, they will be killed and robbed. Qin Yun and company entered the small town by the river. They came directly to a large shed. There were a few experienced elders in Tian Ruling's group. They immediately walked towards the shed and went in to inquire. However, no one sold any information and only told them to wait here. The main reason why Tian Ruling led the team this time was to search for the divine tree and then move it back to the Moon God Mountain to plant it. Any information had a certain amount of use. Qin Yun and company of more than 20 people sat under the shed. Yuan and Chu Yi both covered their faces with veils to avoid attracting too much attention. Although Tian Ruling was a great beauty, a fierce beauty like her would not attract the attention of those young masters. After waiting for a while, a group of people came. It seemed to be a team. There were more than 30 people in the team, and walking in front was a woman wearing a red dress. Her skin was like jade, and she had an oval face. She was beautiful and quiet, with a long braid and a scimitar in her hand. She looked somewhat heroic, and her eyes emitted a blue light. With a single glance, one could tell that she was not to be trifled with. Yo, Guanghan Palace's Tian Ruling. I didn't expect you guys to come as well. Didn't those powerful women from the Guanghan Palace come? The blue light in the red-dressed woman's eyes disappeared as she laughed. Xianyuan Wansi, your Xianyuan family is quite generous. They are all exalted immortals. Tian Ruling looked at the group of people behind Xianyuan Wansi and said. Everyone was secretly alarmed. Xianyuan Wansi had brought more than 30 exalted immortals with her. This was definitely a very powerful force. There's nothing we can do. Our Xianyuan family doesn't lack exalted immortals. Xianyuan Wansi smiled lightly. Is your Guanghan palace worried that those delicate and beautiful fairies will die tragically? You actually recruited some exalted immortals and immortals. Aya, there's even a 6th level immortal. Xianyuan Wansi looked at Qin Yun and sized him up with a smile. She teased. This little immortal is quite handsome. It would be such a pity if he died. I say, how can the women of your Guanghan palace be willing to let this kind of handsome guy die? Just as Tian Ruling was about to speak, a very strong aura suddenly came from afar. Xianyuan Wansi's expression changed slightly. This immortal power aura, it seems to belong to that bitch Nangong Xiumei and her horse husband. Yu Zuoquan actually came as well. This immortal Xian desert is really lively. Yu Zuoquan actually came. Chu Yi's expression changed. Her eyes filled with worry. Yu Zuoquan's current aura is filled with rage. With a glance, one could tell that he came for the matter of Nangong Xiumei. Nangong Xiumei is wearing light blue clothes. Beside her is a handsome man with a long face. He looks tall, and although he is not very strong, he is not thin either. He is wearing simple white clothes and does not look like luxurious immortal clothes. However, his body exudes an arrogant aura that makes people not dare to look at him. Greetings, young Master Yu. Young Master Yu, long time no see. You've become even more handsome. I never thought that I would be able to meet young Master Yu in such a desolate place. It's truly an honor. A large group of people immediately walked over to flatter him. Among these people, there are people from Tian Ruling's group, and also people from Xianyuan Wansi's group. Yu Zuoquan waved his hand and said with a smile, My little wife was swindled by a bastard of 500,000 immortal jade beads. Everyone, you must see how I teach a lesson to a swindler and then spread this matter out. I must let the people of the immortal desolate know how I deal with these swindlers. When Nangong Xiumei arrived, she pointed at Qin Yun and shouted angrily, It's that bastard. He teamed up with Chu Yi to deceive me. Chu Yi, why are you so despicable? You actually teamed up with others to deceive people. Since you've already done such a shady business, when are you going to sell it? Yu Zuoquan laughed loudly, causing Chu Yi to feel very angry. These young exalted immortals all seemed to know each other. Xianyuan Wansi immediately understood and felt somewhat astonished. A little immortal actually dared to deceive Nangong Xiumei. This made her very happy. Then, she took out many watermelons and distributed them to her subordinates. She ate them while watching. How did Yi and Xiao Yun deceive Nangong Xiumei? Tell me. Tian Ruling coldly narrowed her eyes. Her entire body was filled with killing intent. Her aura was not weak at all. Chapter 1280. Cho Yongche Yu Zuoquan is extremely domineering and unreasonable. He coldly looked at Qin Yun and Chu Yi. Here, Yu Zuoquan, a 9th stage upper immortal, is an invincible existence because only upper immortals can enter the immortal Xin desert. As one of the 10 great upper immortals, there are not many upper immortals here who are his match. Xianyuan Wansi, who is eating melons at the side, said with a smile, Nangong Xiumei, in order to avenge you, your man is actually going to have sex with another woman. You can tolerate this kind of thing? This is my husband's ability. I was the one who told him to fuck that slut Chu Yi. What's wrong? Although Nangong Xiumei said this, she is very angry in her heart. Xianyuan Wansi is just a bystander, yet she is blindly spouting nonsense. Everyone can see that Nangong Xiumei has no dignity at all. Otherwise, Yu Zuoquan would not have said that he would sleep with Chu Yi for a night. Tian Ruling and the others are also extremely angry. This Yu Zuoquan is threatening a disciple of the Guanghan Palace like this. He does not place the Guanghan Palace in his eyes at all. Yu Zuoquan laughed arrogantly and said, Tian ruling, Yu Wulan, do you want to sleep with me? Haha, let's do it together. You're courting death. Tian ruling was immediately infuriated. She took out her cold cloud saber and pointed it at Yu Zuokuan, calmly releasing ice-cold, killing intent. Yu Zuokuan had a determined look on his face because he possessed absolute power in the mysterious immortal desert. As long as Xianyuan Wanzi does not take action, he can destroy Tian Ruling's team. Chu Yi is very anxious because they are at a disadvantage and cannot defeat Yu Zuokuan and company. At this moment, her magic mirror vibrated. She took it out and said in pleasant surprise, "It's a message from Yuelon." She said that Sister Rujing suddenly arranged for her to come here. Xiao Yuelon wants to come? Don't scare me. Quickly hand over that brat and let Chu Yi sleep with me. Otherwise, I'll slaughter your entire team. Yu Zuokuan shouted and then laughed loudly. This caused the people that Tian Ruling summoned to be extremely terrified. However, they also felt that Tian Ruling should be able to resist for a while. At that time, they would be able to escape or give up resisting and directly surrender. Xianyuan Wanzi said with a frown, Guanghan Palace's Xiao Yuelon is one of the 10 great exalted immortals. Her strength is unfathomable. She never appears in public and has never fought with anyone. So what? I, Yu Zuokuan, am the strongest among the 10 great exalted immortals. Yu Zuokuan said fearlessly, Xianyuan Wanzi, you are also one of the 10 great celestials. I advise you not to interfere in this matter. At this moment, a few more groups of people arrived. They were all old and middle-aged men. There was no lack of old inscription masters among them. When they saw Yu Zuokuan here, they all went forward to greet him very politely. Seeing a few famous old inscription masters greet Yu Zuokuan politely, everyone was secretly surprised and envious. Those old inscription masters are all able to refine immortal tools. They are normally aloof and revered by people. And because Yu Zuokuan's grandfather is immortal Emperor to Yu, these inscription masters have to be courteous to Yu Zuokuan. Cho Yongchao, Master Cho? My father mentioned you before. I didn't expect to see the rumored Master Cho here. Xianyuan Wanzi looked at a white-haired old man with a long beard and said politely, I heard that you can already carve 8 great master immortal runes. As long as you can carve 10, you'll be a great master. Although Xianyuan Wanzi is one of the 10 great exalted immortals, she is very polite to Cho Yongchao. It can be seen that Cho Yongchao's status is not low. In the Immortal Desolate, many inscription masters are called Immortal Inscription Masters. However, according to the degree of finesse, they are also divided into Great Master and Great Master. Master Cho, it's good that you are here. This guy used a trick to swindle Xiume's 500,000 immortal jade beads. Yu Zuokuan also took out an immortal sword and pointed it at Tian Ruling. He did not make a move because he wanted everyone to understand the ins and outs of the matter. This way, even if this matter were spread, he would have reason to face the Guanghan Palace. Soon after, Nangong Shui narrated what happened with a crying expression. After everyone heard this, they're somewhat astonished in their hearts. Qin Yun's methods actually deceived so many people. Then, all kinds of accusations and curses were directed at Qin Yun. They all felt injustice for Nangong Shui. Even Cho Yongchao repeatedly reprimanded Qin Yun for deceiving people who don't understand runes. Nangong Shui and Yu Zuokuan saw that everyone is filled with righteous indignation and secretly rejoiced. Yu Zuokuan shouted, Tian Ruling, what else do you have to say? Chu Yi damaged Xiume's immortal sword. Not only did she not compensate, she even colluded with this Jianghu swindler to swindle Xiume's 500,000 immortal jade beads. You are all unreasonable. Qin Yun faintly smiled. Nangong Xiume's immortal sword is just a practice product. The runes inside are not stable. Otherwise, how could a mortal emperor to use a mortal sword be so easily fooled by such a small trick? Yu Zuokuan, the immortal sword you gave to Nangong Xiume, is simply a defective product that no one wants. My guess is that a mortal emperor that you really did refine an immortal sword for Nangong Xiume, but you cheated him and sold his best immortal sword, and then replaced it with a broken one. Now that Nangong Shuamei's immortal sword has a problem, you're trying to make Sister Yi take the blame. Jianghu swindler, you're talking nonsense. Yu Zuokuan coldly shouted. Nangong Shuamei's eyes flickered. She is secretly suspicious in her heart, because an immortal sword refined by a mortal emperor, you can't be that bad. Qin Yun laughed loudly. Nangong Shuamei, take out your immortal sword and let Chou Yongchao check it. Shuamei, don't listen to him. Otherwise you will be cheated by him again. Yu Zuokuan furiously glared at Qin Yun and shouted, Little immortal, what do you know? Yu Zuokuan, am an inscription master. How could I not know that there is a problem with that immortal sword? Qin Yun chuckled. I am not talented, but I am also an inscription master. Moreover, I believe that my level is higher than yours. Everyone immediately roared with laughter. Even Chou Yongchao repeatedly laughed and said, Little immortal, this young master Yu's grandfather is the famous immortal emperor to you. He knows how to refine immortal jade beads. You say that your inscription Dao is more brilliant than young master Yu's. Then what is your background? My background. If I say it, you will all be scared to death. It's fine if I don't say it. Qin Yun said indifferently. Yu Zuokuan, if you have the guts, then let Nangong Shuamei take out her immortal sword. That immortal sword is broken. It has already been melted down. Yu Zuokuan said coldly. Don't even think about playing tricks. Quickly come over and let me wring your head. You won't be able to leave today no matter what. Qin Yun secretly frowned. If Nangong Shuamei doesn't take out the immortal sword, it will be very difficult for him. Young Master Yu, don't be in such a hurry to kill him. I want to see what level this little immortal's inscription Dao is. Don't you want to humiliate him? Chou Yongchao stroked his long beard and chuckled. To be honest, I have never seen such a shameless little immortal before. I suggest that young Master Yu personally take action and completely expose this swindler's face. Many people echoed and supported Yu Zuokuan to expose the swindler's lies. Master Chou is right. He said that he is an inscription master and his level is higher than mine. Then I will expose him on the spot. Yu Zuokuan laughed loudly and said to Qin Yun, Little immortal, how about we compete for a bit? Young Master Yu, if you lose, you will bark like a dog and crawl under my crotch. How about it? Qin Yun is naturally very willing to accept Yu Zuokuan's challenge. Ha ha! Yu Zuokuan laughed loudly. The others also laughed loudly. Even Xinyuan Wansi is giggling nonstop. What big words. It looks like he can really win. Someone laughed loudly. Io, a little immortal actually thinks that he can win against young Master Yu in Inscription Dao, truly making people laugh until their teeth fall off. Little immortal quickly commits suicide. You are so arrogant that it is embarrassing. What are you still alive for? Hurry up and die. Swindler, you don't even know how to brag. Hurry up and reincarnate. Many people began to mock and shout loudly, giving Yu Zuokuan more power. Only Tian Ruling and the other two knew that Qin Yun had true ability. As for the other people in Tian Ruling's group, they felt very embarrassed and ashamed. They could not understand why Tian Ruling would stand up for this little immortal. Nangong Shuamei laughed. Little immortal, if my husband really loses, he will crawl into your crotch. Then what if you lose? What are you going to do? Of course, with my husband's status, humiliating a little immortal like you is too much of a loss. You are not worth humiliating. Your self-esteem is worthless. Little immortal, if you want me to bet my self-esteem, then what will you use to bet? Do you know how expensive my self-esteem is? Yu Zuokuan laughed loudly. Everyone burst into laughter again as they mocked Qin Yun. At this moment, Qin Yun slowly took out a divine fruit. The divine fruit in his hand shone with a golden light and released a dazzling light. As long as one had a magic mirror, they would have seen the image posted by the Black Tortoise Great God. They would not be unfamiliar with this fruit, because this was a divine fruit, and it was the same type of divine fruit that the Black Tortoise Great God had released. The people who were mocking Qin Yun just a moment ago could not laugh anymore after seeing the divine fruit's dazzling light. Everyone was completely silent. Their eyes were glued to the divine fruit in Qin Yun's hand. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. They sucked in a breath of cold air. Qin Yun actually had a divine fruit in his hand. Xin Yuan Wansi and Chou Yongqiao were both ninth layer exalted immortals. If they ate this divine fruit, they would definitely become Xian immortals. Therefore, this fruit was very important to them. When Qin Yun saw that everyone's greedy eyes were about to pop out, he quickly put away the divine fruit and said with a smile, "Young master Yu, if I lose, I will give this divine fruit to you. I can sign a soul contract with you to guarantee that this divine fruit is real." "All right," Yu Zuokuan immediately shouted. This was a divine fruit that could help one become a Xian immortal. Moreover, it was rumored to be very delicious. Of course, the feeling of eating it was just a figment of the little black donkey's imagination. "Young master Yu, now I know that your dignity is worth a divine fruit," Qin Yun said with a chuckle. Yu Zuokuan's expression changed. He said coldly, "Little immortal, where did you get this divine fruit?" "I gave it to you," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Who gave it to you?" Nangong Shuamei yelled. She has seen exactly the same divine fruit before. Nangong Shiru also has one. "Mystic Tiger King gave it to me," Qin Yun said with a smile, and then took out a mask. Seeing the mask, everyone let out a burst of cry of alarm. Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain's Mystic Tiger King gave 2 divine fruits to humans. Nangong Shiru obtained one, and the other was obtained by the mysterious masked man. And Qin Yun is actually that mysterious masked man. Chapter 1281. Chapter 1281. Flame Tiger Immortal Ru Nangong Shuamei is very apprehensive. She never expected that this little half-immortal was not only a masked man, but also a 6th-layer immortal. The 9th-layer immortal assassin she sent out used 2 precious immortal talisman tools, but still failed to kill Qin Yun and Little Phoenix. Now she knows that Qin Yun is not a simple character, especially since Qin Yun has a good relationship with the female disciples of Guanghan Palace. Moreover, he claims to be an inscription master. Nangong Shuamei understands the female disciples of Guanghan Palace very well. She knows that these female disciples are very vigilant towards men. But Nangong Shiru and Tian Ruling, these outstanding female disciples, are very close to Qin Yun. It is very puzzling. Nangong Shuamei, your assassin is a 9th-layer immortal. He used 2 immortal talisman tools to kill me, but I am still alive. I don't think it's because my luck is good, but because those immortal talisman tools are too weak. I guess they were refined by young Master Yi, right? Qin Yun said with chuckle. Everyone is secretly apprehensive. Qin Yun was blasted by 2 immortal talisman tools, but he is still alive and not even a little bit injured. Yu Zuokuan's expression changed. He furiously said, "Don't talk nonsense. I have never refined an immortal talisman tool for Shuamei. If I refine an immortal talisman tool, forget about 2, just half of it would be enough to turn you into dregs. Less nonsense. Let's quickly start the inscription competition." "What competition?" Qin Yun said with a smile. "Let's make things clear first, and then sign the soul contract." "Grandmaster Qiu, let's discuss this," Yu Zuokuan said to Chou Yongqiao. Yu Zuokuan knows that Qin Yun has some way of doing things, so he wants to find Chou Yongqiao to discuss a certain way to win. Although Chou Yongqiao is a 9th-layer immortal and a senior, he feels that it is an honor to be able to get close to Yu Zuokuan. At least he will be able to climb up the mountain that is Yu family. Yu Zuokuan and Chou Yongqiao walked to the side and began discussing through sound transmission. Nangong Shuamei angrily looked at Qin Yun. Her intuition tells her that Nangong Shuali and Long Tianren were killed by Qin Yun. Xin Yuan Wansi watched from the side. She had thought that Qin Yun was just a small immortal who was good at bragging. But when she saw that Qin Yun had a divine fruit, she immediately felt that Qin Yun had an extraordinary background. "Young Master Qin, you just said there's someone behind you. Who is it?" Xin Yuan Wansi asked. "I will scare you to death if I tell you." Qin Yun chuckled and said, "Say it. I'm not afraid of being scared. I grew up scared." Xian Yuan Wansi chuckled. Just tell me. Forget it. Qin Yin shook his head and laughed self-deprecatingly. My skills are not good enough, so I don't dare to announce my sect for the time being. I'm worried that I'll bring shame to my sect, so I won't say it. Others wish they could flaunt their backer, but Qin Yun hid it. This gave others an unfathomable feeling. Don't listen to him. This guy's a big swindler. Nangong Xiumei was very angry when she thought about how her 500,000 immortal jade beads had been swindled. Yu Zuoquan and Chou Yongchao had not come to an agreement yet, which made many people anxious. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Young Master Yu, are you afraid? If you lose, you'll have to bark like a dog and crawl into your crotch. This is a serious competition. I can't be careless. I will discuss the competition rules with Master Chou." Yu Zuoquan sneered at Qin Yun and said, "I can tell with one look that you have never participated in an official inscription competition. You don't understand the process." Qin Yun smiled, but did not say anything. Suddenly, another group of people arrived. Xian Yuan Wansi said with a smile, "It's young Master Song. Song Fengchun has arrived." Yu Wulan lightly groaned. "One of Xuanzhou's stallion kings." Nangong Xiumei looked at Song Fengchun and said with a smile, "Young Master Song, last time I saw you, you were only a 9th level immortal, but now you are already a ascendant immortal? Truly awesome. Sister Xiumei, don't laugh at me. I am far inferior to old brother Yu. He is one of the 10 great ascendant immortals. Moreover, he is publicly recognized as the strongest." Song Fengchun chuckled and said, "He is wearing very extravagant and luxurious golden clothes. The folding fan in his hand is also flickering with light. When he fanned it, a burst of golden mist floated out. Song Fengchun is also a fair and tender young master of a rich family. He is tall and thin. He looks like a silk pants. His group is also not weak. They are all ascendant immortals. Song Fengchun's father, Song Zhaoshi, is an inscription master who can refine immortal jade beads. Therefore, Song Fengchun and Yu Zuoquan are very close." As soon as he arrived, he quickly understood what happened. After Song Fengchun heard, his eyes became filled with fanaticism because he also wants a divine fruit. It must be known that being able to announce that you have obtained a divine fruit on the Devil Mirror is a very cool thing. So far, only the mysterious expert Xian Wu Great God has announced it. If he, Song Fengchun, obtains a divine fruit and then posts a photo of him taking a photo with the divine fruit on the Devil Mirror, it will certainly cause a sensation, enough for him to brag about for several years. Song Fengchun secretly cursed himself for coming too late. Otherwise, that divine fruit would have been his. Song Fengchun's relationship with Yu Zuoquan and Nangong Xiumei is very good, so he also wants to be in the limelight now. He sneered at Tian ruling and said, "Disciples of Guanghan Palace, with just these few people, you want to find a rare treasure in the immortal Xian Desert. Don't even think about it. Hurry up and go back to your moon and hide." Song Fengchun hates the female disciples of Guanghan Palace very much because he can't get any of them. "Song Fengchun, the one who should scram is you," Yu Wulan said with a sneer. "You are older than the 3 of us, but your strength is inferior to ours. You actually have the face to shout in front of us. My cultivation is inferior to yours because I've been injured a few times." Song Fengchun said with a face full of indignation. "Everyone doesn't know. The reason why I was injured was mainly to save people." Soon after, Song Fengchun began to talk nonstop about how he saved others. Just by listening, one could tell that he was bragging. However, many people cheered and said that he was a great hero. After all, he was Song Zhaoshi's son. Flattery was a must. Qin Yin could also tell that Song Fengchun was an expert at bragging. Furthermore, he did not feel guilty at all when he boasted. It was very smooth and natural, which made him secretly admire him. "Friends in Tian Ruling's team, if you don't mind me, then come and join my team. How much will Tian Ruling give you? I will add another 100,000 immortal jade beads on top of the original." Song Fengchun opened his folding fan and fanned his chest as he spoke with a very heroic smile. Tian Ruling cursed in her heart. This Song Fengshen was trying to poach them in this place. It was clear that he did not want them to properly explore the immortal Xian Desert. If they don't want to continue following us, they will have to give us 150,000 immortal jade beads to remove the soul contract. Chu Yi shouted. Song Fengshen, will pay for these 150,000 immortal jade beads. Song Fengshen said with a smile. His father was Song Zhaoshi, and he could refine immortal jade beads. Therefore, he did not lack immortal jade beads. The people sitting in the shed where Tian Ruling and company were all overjoyed. They immediately apologized to Tian Ruling and removed the soul contract. As expected, Song Fengshen straightforwardly took out enough immortal jade beads to compensate Tian Ruling. Following that, Song Fengshen signed a contract with those people one by one. In this way, Song Fengshen's team was the strongest in the immortal Xian Desert. This immediately increased his confidence. As for Tian Ruling's team, they only have 4 people, and one of them is a 6th-stage immortal. Yuelan is coming soon. At that time, we will also have one of the 10 great immortals here. Why are you all running? Chu Yi said angrily. But your team has a 6th-stage immortal. You guys take care of him so much. When the time comes, if you go all out to save him, won't you just be a burden? An old man said. At this time, the people who left Tian Ruling's team all complained that Xin Yun's cultivation was too low and it would affect the overall strength of the team. And at this time, Yu Zuoquan and Chou Yongchao finished discussing and exchanged pleasantries with Song Fengshen. Xin Yun, right? Our competition is very simple. It is to carve the immortal runes provided by Master Chou. Whoever has the highest degree of finesse will win. Yu Zuoquan said. Little immortal, I created that immortal rune myself. Young Master Yu has never carved it before, so this is very fair to the 2 of you. Chou Yongchao chuckled and said, Young Master Yu's level is far higher than yours. Even if he just came into contact with that immortal rune, the finesse of the carving will definitely be very high. Song Fengshen laughed. This little immortal might not be able to complete it. Chou Yongchao laughed. That's right. If this is the first time this little immortal has come into contact with my self-created immortal rune, and his finesse is higher than young Master Yu's, then I will concede defeat and willingly accompany young Master Yu to crawl in his crotch and bark like a dog. Cut the crap. Come and sign the contract. Qin Yun shouted, then took out the divine fruit and waved it. Seeing Qin Yun's dazzling divine fruit, everyone cried out in alarm. When Yu Zuoquan saw the divine fruit, he hurriedly went over to sign the contract with Qin Yun. He is like a dog, wishing that he could immediately obtain the divine fruit. Qin Yun could already tell that Yu Zuoquan and Chou Yongchao must have discussed how to cheat, so he was on guard. This is the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune I created. It is mainly used to make immortal talismans or immortal formations. The immortal talisman created can release a very strong flame tiger. I will provide the inscription to you. You will carve according to the inscription. Whoever has the highest finesse will win. Yu Zuoquan took out a beast skin. On it is carved the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune. Qin Yun looked at it and secretly felt disdain, because he can tell from the inscription that this is a very ordinary immortal rune. Moreover, many of the runes are unnecessary. Having too many useless runes will only make the energy flow in a rune for a longer time and consume even more immortal power. Song Fengshen, Yu Zuoquan, and a few other old inscription masters saw the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune inscription and immediately started praising it incessantly. This made Chou Yongchao feel extremely proud. He is grinning from ear to ear. Half an hour. Chou Yongchao took out an hourglass and said, If the finesse of the inscription you carve is at the same level, then whoever finishes the fastest will win. How can his finesse compare to mine? Yu Zuoquan mocked. Then he took out a beast skin and began carving while looking at the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune. Qin Yun used the Extinction Spirit Eye to take a look and saw that there are many runes hidden inside Yu Zuoquan's beast skin. They are exactly the same as the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune. Yu Zuoquan is cheating, and it was provided by Chou Yongchao. When signing the contract, it was also stated that cheating is not allowed, but Yu Zhuoquan still dared to do so. Clearly, this old fox, Cho Yongchao, used a brilliant method to avoid it. Chapter 1282. To invite disgrace upon oneself. When Cho Yongchao saw Qin Yun begin to carve runes, he stroked his long beard and said with a smile, "Even I would find it difficult to obtain such a high degree of finesse in an hour." Of course, young Master Yu's talent is outstanding, and he is a rare genius. Even if he has never learned the Flame Tiger Immortal Mark, his precision must be very high. When the crowd heard this, they were full of praises. Song Fengshan said in shock, "Master Chiu, you're so familiar with the Flame Tiger Immortal Mark, and you created it yourself. How much finesse can you achieve in an hour?" "Level 10 finesse at most." Cho Yongchao laughed self-deprecatingly. "If it's 2 hours, it won't be a problem to reach level 11. The other inscription masters all came over to flatter Cho Yongchao and Yu Zhuoquan. This Qin brat, forget about obtaining an extremely high degree of finesse. Even completing this set of inscriptions is impossible," Cho Yongchao said with a smile. Tian Ruling and the others are somewhat worried for Qin Yun because they do not understand runes. And now, Cho Yongchao and the other high-level inscription masters did not think highly of Qin Yun, which made them worried. Nangong Xiumei proudly smiled and said, "My husband is truly amazing. In a few years, his finesse might even reach the Grandmaster level." Cho Yongchao nodded and laughed. "That's for sure." Yu Zhuoquan was still young, but if his finesse was already at the Grandmaster level, then he was indeed a rare, peerless genius. Qin Yun did not know how Cho Yongchao had evaded the contract. Yu Zhuoquan was clearly cheating, but he had not suffered any backlash from the soul contract. "Xiao Yun, Yu Zhuoquan might not know about this. This is all arranged by Cho Yongchao." Ling Yin'er said, "Cho Yongchao, that old fox, must have done this kind of thing many times. Maybe, as long as Yu Zhuoquan doesn't know anything, nothing will happen to him. I have to study these contract rules in the future. This time, I was tricked by that old fox." Qin Yun was more or less worried that he would lose. After all, the other party had cheated. There was still half of the hourglass left. Yu Zhuoquan put away his carving knife and smiled. "I'm done." Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Cho Yongchao's face was filled with shock as he said, "Young Master Yu, your inscription talent is unparalleled in the world. It's truly an eye-opener." "It's nothing. This is the result of my many years of hard work." Yu Zhuoquan laughed smugly. He looked at Qin Yun and saw that Qin Yun was still slowly carving. He said with a sneer, "This little immortal really knows how to carve runes. I have underestimated him. However, he will lose without a doubt." Qin Yun is very serious about carving runes. His floating cloud divine needle seems to be connected to his blood vessels. He can control it freely. In addition, the needle tip is very thin. This can increase the finesse. This was his first time inscribing a celestial rune. Moreover, it was a very unfamiliar celestial rune, so he did not dare to guarantee the degree of finesse. Originally, he felt that it was impossible for Yu Zhuoquan to win against him with the same conditions as him. But Cho Yongchao had played a trick which put him under a lot of pressure. When Qin Yun was carving runes, he discovered that the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune was not created by Cho Yongchao himself. It is a trash immortal rune that Cho Yongchao pieced together using other immortal runes. The Flame Tiger Immortal Rune has fire and beast attribute immortal runes. Qin Yun, who possesses the Wildfire Inscription Spirit and Beast King Inscription Spirit, can carve it with ease. He felt that if he was familiar with this set of runes, he might be able to raise the finesse to level 12. At this time, Cho Yongchao and other inscription masters took out tools to test the finesse of runes and inspected the Flame Tiger Immortal Rune carved by Yu Zhuoquan. After the inspection, those inscription masters continuously exclaimed in admiration and exclaimed in surprise. Young Master Yu has just come into contact with this unfamiliar immortal rune, and the finesse of the rune has reached level 10. This is truly inconceivable. Too awesome. This kind of talent is truly unparalleled. Maybe, young master, you will surpass his grandfather, immortal emperor to you, in the future. Young master Yu is invincible. Those inscription masters constantly flattered Yu Zuokun, causing his face to be filled with a proud smile. As for Song Fengshun, he is secretly jealous because he is being firmly suppressed in front of Yu Zuokun. Nangong Shuamei's smile is even more gorgeous. Her face is filled with pride. She unceasingly flaunted in front of Xianyuan Wansi, Chu Yi, and the other girls. The sand in the hourglass has finally run out. Qinyan also just finished. Yu Zuokun impatiently said, "Little immortal, quickly take out your divine fruit." Qinyan said with frown, "Aren't you going to test the finesse?" Cho Yongchao disdainfully sneered and said, "Test what? What a waste of time. I just casually looked, and I already know that your finesse is very low. Quickly take out the divine fruit and give it to young master Yu. You have lost. We have signed a contract. I advise you to be a bit more honest." Qinyan coldly said, "If you don't test it, how can you determine how much finesse I have? You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. You're just making unnecessary moves. Even if you have 10th level finesse, so what? Won't you still lose?" Cho Yongchao coldly snorted, took out a testing tool, and shined it on Qin Yun's beast skin. Cho Yongchao's testing tool is a mirror. When it shined on Qin Yun's beast skin, 11 light spots appeared. Seeing those 11 light spots, Cho Yongchao is stunned. Then he vigorously wiped the mirror, but the 11 light spots on the mirror are getting brighter and brighter, causing his hands to slightly tremble in shock. He closed the mirror and opened it again to check again. It is still 11 light spots. "Master Cho, after your test, what is the finesse?" Qin Yun asked with a sneer. Cho Yongchao's hands are trembling. His forehead is immediately filled with sweat. He swallowed his saliva and said with a trembling voice, "Impossible, impossible. How can you carve it to 11th level finesse?" When everyone saw Cho Yongchao's reaction and heard him say this, they immediately looked at each other in shock. "What?" Yu Zuokun cried out in alarm. He quickly rushed over and took out his own testing tool to check. Very quickly, he also obtained a result. It is indeed 11th level finesse. Cho Yongchao sat down on the ground. His face is filled with fear as he looked at Qin Yun, because he knows that Qin Yun's talent is truly peerless. This kind of super genius's background is certainly very strong. It is not inferior to Yu Zuokun's grandfather, Immortal Emperor. Cho Yongchao's forehead is filled with sweat. He suddenly felt that he has offended the younger generation of a superpower. The consequences are very serious. He carefully thought about it and realized that Qin Yun is not simple. His cultivation is not high yet. He has divine fruits, and he is together with 3 great beauties of Guanghan Palace. Song Fengshun came over to check Qin Yun's rune finesse, and after checking, he is also shocked. Xianyuan Wansi, who is watching melons, opened her small mouth in amazement. She was not optimistic about Qin Yun before, but now she is completely dumbfounded because Qin Yun is truly a very strong inscription master. Nangong Shuamei's expression became even more marvelous. She finally realized how good Nangong Shuaru's vision is. She actually knew such a mysterious and powerful young man. On the contrary, it was the 2 sisters who had eyes but failed to see. They repeatedly attacked Qin Yun. At this time, she also recalled the matter of her immortal sword. She secretly clenched her fists and cursed Yu Zuokun in anger. She is certain that her immortal sword has been replaced by Yu Zuokun. Yu Zuokun's mind is completely blank because he wants to bark like a dog and drill through Qin Yun's crotch. Song Fengshun did not say a word, but in his heart, flowers are blooming. Earlier, Yu Zuokun was flattered by so many people that he almost flew to the sky. And the higher he is blown, the more miserable he will fall. All the inscription masters and upper immortals here are speechless. They don't know what to say because they all know that Qin Yun is a hidden disciple of a famous sect. "Young master, you please." Qin Yun spread open his long legs and said with smile, "Remember, you must bark like a dog and drill at the same time. Everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air. This is an extraordinary shame and humiliation. Yu Zuokuin cursed Qin Yun in his heart. Why is he pretending to be deep and profound? He has been cheated miserably. He glared at Chou Yongchao. He feels that he will lose because of Chou Yongchao. Don't even think about it. I won't drill. Yu Zuokuin bellowed, turned around, and ran. Oh! Yu Zuokuin suddenly hugged his head and screamed. His soul has suffered a backlash from the power of the contract. Young master Yu, if you don't drill, no one will be able to save you. Qin Yun said indifferently. Tian Ruling, Yu Wulan, and Chu Yi are secretly pleased in their hearts. They admire Qin Yun even more. I'll drill, I'll drill. Yu Zuokuin shouted in pain. He had enjoyed glory and wealth since he was young. He could not endure hardship, and he did not want to die. He arrived in front of Qin Yun and knelt on the ground. He roared at the others, all of you, put away your magic mirrors. If anyone spreads this matter, I'll kill their entire family. Chu Yi took out her magic mirror and said with a smile, such a wonderful scene, we must record it down. Qin Yun hurriedly took out a mask and put it on. He said with a smile, although I'm very handsome, I don't want to be on camera. It's better to keep a low profile. Slut, you're dead for sure, Yu Zuokuin said angrily. Just you wait. I'll definitely kill all of you. Chu Yi was not afraid at all. She giggled and said, hurry up and crawl over. Remember to bark like a dog. Yu Zuokuin gritted his teeth and shouted woof, 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 and crawled under Qin Yun's crotch. Seeing this scene, everyone wanted to laugh, but they didn't dare. Whoever laughed would die. Of course, Chu Yi, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan dared to laugh. After Yu Zuokuin crawled over, Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan gathered all their immortal power together and came to Qin Yun's side. They were on guard against Yu Zuokuin. Chou Yongchao and Nangong Xiumei hurriedly came over to help Yu Zuokuin up. Young Master Yu, quickly kill them. Chou Yongchao was worried that Yu Zuokuin would vent his anger on him, so he quickly said in a low voice, Master Chou, you said before that if Qin Yun could defeat me, you would also crawl under his crotch. You said that you would do it. Yu Zuokuin suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a deep voice, if Chou Yongchao also crawled, Yu Zuokuin would feel a little better. Chou Yongchao is very afraid of death. After all, Yu Zuokuin has brought a large team here. Furthermore, he is currently angry and could kill at any time. Chou Yongchao, who is afraid of death, cursed Yu Zuokuin in his heart. Then, he crawled on the ground towards Qin Yun's crotch. Remember to bark like a dog, Yu Zuokuin said coldly, reminding Chou Yongchao. Chou Yongchao crawled over while barking like a dog. He gritted his teeth and cursed Qin Yun. Chu Yi and the others laughed even more happily. After Chou Yongchao crawled over, Yu Zuokuin immediately took out an immortal sword. The robust, immortal power in his body surged out along with his anger. He said angrily, Qin Yun, you and Chu Yi join hands to swindle 500,000 immortal jade beads from Shuimei. I'll settle this debt with you now. Go to hell. Chapter 1283. Young Master cheating Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan immediately stood in front of Qin Yun with their immortal sabers in hand. Take Xiao Yun away, Tian Ruling said coldly. Do you think you can leave? Chou Yongchao immediately took out a few immortal talismans and shouted, all of you must die. Yu Zuokuin laughed sinisterly. Capture those 3 women alive. Only by taking them all will we be able to wash away our shame. Chou Yongchao is an inscription master, and Yu Zuokuin is one of the 10 great exalted immortals. Their cultivation is at the 9th level of exalted immortal. In this place, they're the strongest exalted immortals. In addition to the team brought by Yu Zuokuin and Nangong Xiumei, their strength is even stronger. Tian Ruling and company only have 3 exalted immortals, and Qin Yun is only a 6th level immortal. Everyone feels that Qin Yun and company are finished today. Qin Yun, if you didn't insult us, we might have let you go. But now you are finished. Cho Yongchao is very angry. He looked at Chu Yi and said, "Little girl, quickly hand over your magic mirror." Chu Yi had recorded the entire process of them drilling into their crotch. If she were to send it out, Yu Zuoquan and Cho Yongchao would be finished. This is also the reason why Cho Yongchao is so flustered and exasperated. This matter cannot be spread out. He valued his reputation very much. Song Fengshan suddenly walked out and said, "Chu Yi, I know you haven't sent out that message yet. Don't act recklessly." Chu Yi sneered and said, "Don't act recklessly. Before I die, I will definitely have enough time to release the video of Yu Zuoquan and Cho Yongchao drilling into their crotch." Yu Zuoquan and Cho Yongchao are anxious. They indeed do not have the confidence to kill Chu Yi in one go because Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan are still protecting her. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan were sent to the immortal Xian Desert. They are definitely not weak, and their equipment is very strong. Furthermore, no one knows their exact cultivation. Song Fengshan said, "Qin Yun, your inscription level is not bad, and I have also studied inscription for a period of time. How about this? I will compete with you. Regardless of whether I win or lose, I, Song Fengshan, will help you buy an incense stick of time. Of course, if you lose, make Chu Yi give me her magic mirror and divine fruit to you." "Sure, let's sign the soul contract," Qin Yun said. "Well, let's not sign it, because I can only try my best to buy time for you." Song Fengshan laughed. "I don't want you to sign a soul contract either. I believe that you are a trustworthy person." Yu Zuoquan originally wanted to say something, but he felt that Song Fengshan's main purpose was to snatch the magic mirror. "All right, then what shall we compete in?" Qin Yun did not trust Song Fengshan. He only wanted to stall for time and wait for Xiao Yuelan to arrive. He believed in Xiao Yuelan's strength. "I have a celestial talisman weapon here. Due to some reasons, it was damaged. If you can repair it, you win." Song Fengshan took out a black eagle. This black eagle could fly and was very fast. Moreover, it was an immortal talisman weapon. Flying in the air, if it encountered a prey, it could dive down and collide with it, then explode. Qin Yun was puzzled when he saw this immortal talisman weapon. He suspected that the assassin sent by Nangong Xiumei must have used this immortal talisman weapon. All right, Qin Yun received the black eagle and secretly sensed the power injected into it. Indeed, he sensed a very familiar aura. It was the immortal talisman weapon that had attacked him and Little Phoenix previously. This caused him to be even more shocked. Nangong Xiumei's immortal talisman weapon was actually given to her by Song Fengshan. This kind of immortal talisman weapon is very expensive, yet Song Fengshan was willing to give it to Nangong Xiumei. Clearly, their relationship is not ordinary. Qin Yun's intuition told him that Song Fengshan and Nangong Xiumei are having an affair. He also faintly saw that Yu Zuoquan's head is green. "Repair it within an hour." Song Fengshan chuckled and said, "Let's begin." This is not a competition at all, because Qin Yun is the only one doing it. Song Fengshan is just watching from the side. Yu Zuoquan suddenly felt that Song Fengshan's competition is much more brilliant than Cho Yongchao's Flame Tiger Immortal Rune competition. The reason why Cho Yongchao used his own Flame Tiger Immortal Rune is actually to show off. He wants people to brag about how awesome his Immortal Rune is. Qin Yun carefully looked at Song Fengshan's Black Eagle Immortal Talisman tool and quickly discovered the damaged area. The runes inside the Black Eagle are very easy to see. The damaged area is precisely the runes. The damage is not serious. "Xiao Yun, this Black Eagle has an explosion." Ling Yun quickly said. Ruling and Wulan are guarding against Yu Zuoquan and the others. "Only Sister Yi is by your side. If you repair this Black Eagle, Song Fengshan can control this Black Eagle to explode and injure you and Sister Yi." Qin Yun cursed Song Fengshan in his heart. He is actually so sinister. Earlier, Yu Zuoquan also received Song Fengshan's voice transmission. After learning of Song Fengshan's scheme, he secretly praised him. As long as Qin Yun repairs the Black Eagle, it will immediately explode. Once Chu Yi and Qin Yun are blown up, it will be time for them to take action. Chu Yi still hasn't posted the 2 videos on the magic mirror to threaten Yu Zuoquan and Cho Yongchao. If they were to post it, they would definitely be besieged by Yu Zuoquan's group. After Qin Yun saw through Song Fengchen's scheme, he promptly sent a voice transmission to Tian Ruling, Yu Wulan, and Chu Yi, telling them to prepare. Xiao Yun, Yu Wulan should be arriving soon. Try your best to stall for time. Yuelon is a very powerful 9th stage upper immortal. Chu Yi sent a voice transmission to Qin Yun. Qin Yun is slowly repairing the runes inside the Black Eagle. At the same time, he is thinking of a way to counterattack Song Fengshen. This Song Fengshen is helping Yu Zuoquan at this time. It should be to show off his ability and at the same time curry favor with Yu Zuoquan. This way, he can come into contact with more of Yu Zuoquan's women and then secretly play with them. Ling Yun tenderly laughed and said, Song Fengshen doesn't lack women, but he secretly plays with other people's women. It might be more exciting. Qin Yun is stalling for time, so the repair is very slow. Otherwise, he would have already repaired it. Very quickly, 2 hours passed, and Qin Yun still has not finished repairing it. This made Song Fengshen somewhat anxious. Qin Yun, time is almost up. Have you finished repairing it? Song Fengshen said, if you haven't finished repairing it, you will lose and hand over the divine fruit and devil mirror to me. Song Fengshen brought many strong people with him. Later on, he poached Tian Ruling's people. Therefore, his strength is the greatest. He has reason to besiege Qin Yun and force him to hand over the divine fruit. It can be seen that Song Fengshen is a very sinister person and Yu Zuoquan is much worse in comparison. Qin Yun and Ling Yun both feel that most of Yu Zuoquan's women have been played with by Song Fengshen. Qin Yun suddenly said with smile, Young Master Song, I am not anxious. Why are you so anxious? Oh, that's right. I heard from Little Phoenix that you want to find Nangong Xiumei one night. At that time, Nangong Xiumei said that you were very anxious. It's true. Everyone immediately opened their eyes wide and slightly cried out in alarm. They all looked at Song Fengshen, Yu Zuoquan, and Nangong Xiumei. Everyone secretly cursed in their hearts. Song Fengshen is actually playing with Yu Zuoquan's women. Xin Yuan Wanxi and the other spectators suddenly felt that they did not come to Immortal Xian Desert in vain. They just arrived, and they have already seen such a big show. Nangong Xiumei can no longer remain calm. Song Fengshen's expression is also somewhat strange. With one look, she can tell that they are feeling guilty. Nangong Xiumei, you said that Little Phoenix is stealing a man. I think it is you who is stealing a man. That is why you used 2 immortal talisman tools to silence Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix is just a little immortal girl, yet you sent out a 9th immortal assassin and used 2 immortal talisman tools. That's right. Where did you get those immortal talisman tools? Don't tell me it was given by young Master Song? Everyone knows that Nangong Xiumei wanted to kill Little Phoenix, which caused Nangong Shuru and Nangong Xiumei to be at odds. According to the news from Nangong family, Little Phoenix ran away with a man. But now it seems that Little Phoenix saw Nangong Xiumei and Song Fengshen committing adultery, so she was killed to silence them. Young Master Song, you are very good. You even dare to do it with young Master Yu's women. Awesome. You are working so hard to help young Master Yu deal with us. Are you trying to get close to him and play with all of his wives? Yu Wulan said with charming smile. Maybe you've already played with all of them. You just want to wait for young Master Yu to get married and continue playing with them. Haha. Don't try to sow dissension. Old brother Yu is my blood-related big brother. I will not do anything to let him down. Song Fengshen furiously roared. Yu Zuoquan's expression is extremely unsightly. Today he crawled into someone else's crotch. If all of his wives betrayed him, it would be a great humiliation to him. Qin Yun said with smile, Young Master Song, how about this? You sign a soul contract with young Master Yu and guarantee that you have never played with his women. Old brother Yu, quickly kill them. I have dozens of Ascendant Immortals on my side. Together with your Ascendant Immortals, we can exterminate them in one fell swoop. Song Fengchun promptly said to Yu Zuokuan. Song Fengchun, sign a soul contract with me. It won't be too late to kill them later. They won't be able to escape today. Yu Zuokuan's expression is gloomy. The killing intent he released is even more dreadful than before. Nangong Shuamei's eyes are filled with fear after sensing Yu Zuokuan's killing intent. And Song Fengchun's forehead is dripping with sweat. He said with smile, Old brother Yu, I also have many beautiful wives. I can't even take care of my own women. How can I have time to play with you? Shut up. Quickly sign a soul contract with me. Yu Zuokuan shouted. His face has already turned green. Song Fengchun cursed Qin Yun countless times in his heart. He also cursed Nangong Shuamei in his heart. Why did she have to make a move on a little girl? Old brother Yu, let's capture Qin Yun first. He has the divine fruit in his hand. I will do my best to capture him and those 3 women, then give them all to you. I don't want anything. Song Fengchun is clearly feeling guilty. He promptly said with smile, Speak, which of my women did you sleep with? Yu Zuokuan is also not stupid. He has already determined that Song Fengchun is playing with his women. He coldly looked at Nangong Shuamei. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.